It is 6 a.m. Good morning, live from the Circus Sports at the Mint Kentucky Downs studio. I'm Zach Kroll. We had another massive trade in the NBA yesterday as the Memphis Grizzlies sent Ja Morant to the Portland Trailblazers in exchange for Jeremy Grant and Chris Murray. Morant was drafted number 2 overall by Memphis in the 2019 draft and is a 2-time All-Star. The World Cup continues as 3 more teams punched their tickets to the round of 16 yesterday as Brazil defeated Japan 2-1, Paraguay stunned Germany in penalties, and Morocco defeated the Netherlands also in penalties. Team USA is set to take on Bosnia in their round of 32 matchup on Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Central Time in Santa Clara. Finally, the Detroit Lions released starting corner and 2024 first-round pick Terrion Arnold yesterday after his arrest and charged with kidnapping and robbery last week. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you got to visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Off and running on your Tuesday morning edition of Ramon and Will, back in studio on this gorgeous day in the Music City. Good morning and welcome in. 615-737-1045 is our number. Dr. Kevin Dyson is filling in for Ramon Foster again this morning. Zach Kroll filling in for new dad, Justin Hawkins. Myself, Will Bowling, at Ramon and Will on Twitter. And you can stream the show live, Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch. The World Cup was tremendous yesterday. We're talking underrated Titans, past and present, later on in the show today. And the NBA hot stove, Dr. Dyson, heated up significantly yesterday as well. Good morning. How are you?
Man, good morning. Great to be back, man. And like we talked about off air and air conditioning. Although I had a good time yesterday at the event. Big Jeff, hope it was a success. But it got hot there right before we left.
It absolutely did. Absolutely did. The bright side of being back in studio is the fact that you are exactly that.
Yes.
In a studio. But no, it was a great time yesterday. And for those who did not hear our conversation with Jeff as well, you'll hear it again in about 15 minutes.
Yeah, man.
He was great.
It was great. As we get going this morning, got World Cup going, baseball, saw Tani doing his thing again. It's we always call this that dead area of sports for football fans, but, there's a lot going on, man. It's excited about.
Well, growth for me is spending more time talking about the NBA because I don't know if you know this about me. I truly could not be less of an NBA person for most of my life.
Really?
The one thing I can't really get into, I was told from a young age that we weren't going to cheer for Memphis, which is a rite of passage for many that are born in Nashville, and many are laughing at me for that. I was a kid. I don't know. I just decided then. I was like, I'm not really going to be a Grizzlies fan. Days like yesterday are days where I'm glad I did not pick being a Grizzlies fan because an era ended yesterday. Grizzlies trading 2-time All-Star Ja Morant to the Trailblazers for Jeremy Grant and Chris Murray. Their 3 franchise cornerstones are now all gone between Ja Morant, Desmond Bane, and Jaren Jackson Jr., all since being swept by OKC in the first round of the 2025 playoffs. It's crazy how quickly that core and that team went from being the young, exciting team in this state that you felt like was beginning a window of competitiveness to literally all 3 of them no longer playing for that team.
How fast the mighty fall. Injuries, contracts, timing. It shows you how brittle it is to be at the top in the length of time that you have to win a championship and be relevant. It's really a 2-3 year window, and then things happen. You see it in pretty much every professional sports, Dodgers aside, maybe Patriots aside. But for the most part, you see that, man, because free agency dictates kind of terms as people build through free agency and draft.
So they've got Cameron Boozer, the number 3 overall pick of the 2026 draft. Ja Morant, still 26 years old. has only played in 79 games in 3 seasons from his off-court issues and injuries since his second consecutive All-Star appearance in 2023. So he's on a Trailblazers team now that's right off of its first playoff appearance since 2021. These numbers are crazy to me. He's got 2 years and $87 million left on his maximum rookie extension.
Dang. He's still on his rookie extension?
Right. Wow. Exactly. 2 years and $87 million, and the guy's on a rookie extension. Like, those words all together don't make sense to me.
No. But, when you think about the amount of time he has missed on the court, it aligns, before he gets that max deal, how the super max probably he'll be qualifying for it in a year or two. So it aligns that they didn't extend him, and they're seeing from a Memphis standpoint of if we can, collect draft picks, collect some other potential players that can kind of keep the boat afloat, without worrying about if he's going to be able to play, he's going to be healthy or not. I could see from a business standpoint why Memphis do it, but you don't get marquee players like that often, and Ja's a marquee player.
You don't, and especially marquee players that fit your organization's identity and your franchise's just overall vibe.
Yes.
And obviously you don't make moves based off vibes. You make them off of who's available and what you're doing on the floor between the lines and whatever those lines are painted on. But interesting legacy for Ja Morant in Memphis, because it really did feel like about 3 or 4 years ago that they had the makings of a legitimate superstar in Memphis.
Absolutely.
In a new generation. Obviously, the 8-game suspension in 2023 for conduct detrimental to the league. Then a 25-game suspension for Ja to open the 23-24 season, both of which stem from incidents of him displaying a firearm on Instagram Live. Then the Grizzlies suspended him for 1 game in November of last season because of a heated confrontation and a loss to the Lakers. And his three-point shooting just has not progressed to the level that it was in 2022 when he peaked at 34%. So he is a career 31% three-point shooter. That ranks 189th out of 194 active players with at least 1,000 attempts, according to StatHead. So that was the area where I think they wanted to see growth, they wanted to see progression, they wanted to see maturity, and clearly they either didn't feel like they saw enough of those things, or they felt like they were in a rebuild situation where they needed to just get something for him while they still could.
I'd be curious. To me, his contemporary is Derrick Rose, another Memphis guy. No, he's from Chicago, but athletically took the league by storm. Just people couldn't handle him. And I'd be curious from a statistical standpoint how they compare in that regard, like their shooting, their efficiency, turnover,
that's a good question.
Assist ratio, because that could kind of give you a trajectory of where Ja potentially is going. Because athleticism for all of us, now he's only 26, still in the prime of his life, but at some point your game has to change. Michael Jordan was the most athletic dude in the league at one point or another, but he understood as I get older, I got to have more tricks in my bag, and I can't just be the most athletic guy all the time.
Right.
So I had to have some other things. And so that, to me, to your point, is if we're not seeing that progression of you elevating other parts of your game, whether that might be facilitating, it might be your ability to knock down a long jumper. I'm sure they did some metrics and financially realizing he's coming up contractually that we're going to have to make a decision anyway, so we might as well collect some value out of this before we're out of having him here anyway.
Essentially just trading 2 big, not so great contracts within all of this, because Jeremy Grant is in a similar boat with 1 year left at his deal before a $36 million player option for 2027 and 28. And then Chris Murray set to become a restricted free agent next summer. So interesting. For me, the way I look at this, again, from the Tennessee pro sports perspective, you have Memphis now that is beginning a new generation of Grizzlies basketball. You have the Titans that have Cam Ward going into a second season, who are starting to, you hope, incline a little bit and start to progress. You have the Nashville Predators, who just hired a new general manager. Who knows what's going to happen to head coach Andrew Burnett? But for right now, you have just a new general manager, and looks like for this season, the same head coach, but you're one bad season away from probably looking for another head coach.
Mm-hmm.
Of the 4 professional sports teams in the state of Tennessee, then you just got Nashville SC, top of MLS right now. you've got one team you feel like the peak of competitiveness right now, and not that the Grizzlies were this past season anyway. Not that anyone's shocked by this, considering they were picking at the top 5, but it's just a reminder again of what Tennessee pro sports fans have had to deal with. Because I know so many of you who are Titans and Preds fans are sticking with the state teams and are also Grizzlies fans this morning, thinking, okay,
the most stable right
reset
now,
again.
The fewest questions you say regard what's going on up there. But and we talked about this a lot yesterday. I think for the Titans standpoint, the trend is upward. I think that's good news as we talk about this level of free agency and draft and body capital. I think, man, one thing you can say about from early on signs, the Titans are seemingly trending in the right direction. And so that's going to be talk of town. We're still a football town. But SC, man, I don't know who's out there listening, hasn't been to one of these games. It's an event. It's a must go.
It is.
It's entertaining, and the quality of play from these guys, man, it's one of those things. It's a great event, and it's good for families. It's good for anybody. I tell you,
totally.
Go check it out, bro.
It's 2 hours. It's quick. You don't have to spend all day doing something to do it. And they are back 2 weeks from Friday against Atlanta at home. And they'll start the MLS season again. That's paused right now for the World Cup as the number 1 team in the league, top of the standings. So exciting times over there, but. If you were looking for a team that is a championship contender right now in this state, that is the one in terms of pro sports. There's no question. No question about it. On YouTube, Jeremy writes in and says, MLB team will be here soon as well. I'm going to believe that when I see it.
That's a conversation for how long now?
I'm going to believe it when I see it. Yeah, the money that is needed to really take that seriously, I haven't seen yet. I hope we do eventually. I love baseball. That was kind of my first love growing up was baseball. It's the sport that I played, that so many of you played. But until the legitimate, for lack of a better term, big boy money is on the table, it's just kind of a fun thing to think about and talk about.
What happens to the sounds at that point?
It's a great question. It feels like you probably have an MLB team, if you, let's say, moved a team here. Or I don't know. If you had to expand, there's so many questions I have, more so than answers. But I think the first thing I would assume is that an MLB team would take temporary residents of First Horizon Park while you built a bigger venue, which, again, where the heck's that going to be?
Unless they renovate that one. Maybe.
Yeah, right. Which, doesn't feel as practical as just having the land to build something else. But that land's probably in Williamson County or Wilson County or Rutherford County. I'm not sure it's in Davidson County. So, and it's definitely not in the land where there was a rendering for a stadium years ago from, the Nashville Stars people. And I know there are a lot of good people that work with them. And I'd love to see it happen. But again, way more questions than answers. And I don't know what would happen to the Sounds. Probably wouldn't be a AAA team here anymore.
I thought that'd be interesting to see what that move would be. But, if that happens, we talk about rating sports cities. Nashville already growing from a sports perspective.
No question.
You get that, and then, of course, always that conversation of Memphis moving to Nashville.
Right.
That seems to always be like...
LeBron would sign up for that.
I bet he would. But it'd be one of the greatest sports cities.
No question.
Across the country, for sure.
No question. It's going to be interesting to see if and when that happens. There are a lot of people, again, in the sports world and the baseball world who do say it is a matter of when, not if, on baseball coming here.
Wow. Okay.
A lot of folks believe that. And I think baseball, Major League Baseball, if they were picking and no money was no object, where they would put a team, Nashville would be a place they would put a team. It, obviously, as you know, just doesn't work that way. So.
Yes.
615-737-1045 is our number. We are live for the 1045 The Zone Circus Sports Studio. Kentucky's largest sports book can now be found at Circus Sports at Kentucky Downs. We revisit our conversation with Jeffrey Simmons. Coming up next, Kevin Dyson, Will Bowling, Ramon and Will, 1045 The Zone. Ramon and Will on 104.5 The Zone. Kevin Dyson and Will Bowling revisiting our conversation with Pro Bowl defensive tackle, face of the Tennessee Titans. Here is the one and only Jeffrey Simmons with us.
Away we go into the fourth and final hour this morning, live from Governor's Club at Golf for a Reason, the Give 'em a Reason Foundation. Jeffrey Simmons doing great stuff out here in Brentwood at a beautiful day to golf at Governor's Club. Kevin Dyson filling in for Ramon this morning, myself, Will Bowling. Pleased to be joined by the man himself, Jeffrey Simmons, sitting down with us here on the show. What's going on? Welcome.
Morning. How y'all doing this morning?
We're good.
We're good, brother.
It's hot.
I wasn't gonna do this, but now I got to.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm OG. I'm old head now. You see all this gray in my beard. We matching beards, and I can't get on the invite list. I'm gonna put this out here to everybody here. I'm at Big Jeff's tournament on the radio. I can't get on the invitee celebrity list, but I digress.
You want to play?
I always can play.
You brought your clubs. That's good. Nah, man, I appreciate y'all being here, man. 104 and 5. For being out here and sponsoring this event. This is my first one. I've been kind of nervous because you never know like what to really expect.
Yeah.
Your first time, golf is kind of new to me.
Sure.
I've really been getting into it, but when you have a great support team with William, Raymond, Chloe, Abigail, Steele, Lauren, like that team it make you so proud to be able to have a team like that. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful to be able to put on an event like this. The support from each and every one here in Tennessee and whoever drove up from wherever they come from. But to all our sponsors, this wouldn't be possible without them. So I'm grateful to be able to, this. I don't know if y'all really know much about the reason why I wanted to do this, but it's kind of, my foundation not new, but I'm going towards a new initiative.
Mm-hmm.
My new thing that I want to do because, it means so much to me. It's the way I grew up. I went from house to house. I moved like 6 or 7 times growing up as a kid. From when I moved to Mississippi to the time I went off to college, I was kind of lost as a kid I'm wondering like, why in the heck we moving so much? And you don't understand them things until you get older. You realize that we couldn't.
Right.
We on HUD, we on WIC, like nothing was stable. And in the last couple of years, bending up for Walter Payton Man in a year, you see these guys winning these awards, and the thing that really caught my eyes, and I'm a learner. I want to learn from Bobby Wagner. I want to learn from Cam Hayward.
Yeah.
Everything they do with their foundation, it's a legacy. It's something that's could be they could continue to do these things even when they're done in the game of football. And that's one of the things that I really sat and I thought about. What can I really do that means so much to me that I could really pour into even when I'm done playing the game of football? And that's why I came up with, finding stable home for single parents. And like I said, that it means so much to me because my mom raised 5 kids on her own. And from house to house, never saw her complain. And these parents, man, when I went a couple weeks ago, in March, went to this Habitat for Humanity event, I'm seeing these families. I seen the one lady out there, man. She was 75 years old, never owned a home. That was her first home at 75 years old.
Wow.
So when you see these type of things, it make you appreciate it, man. So this is not nothing. My foundation I knew, but that's we're kicking things off today with the new initiative. So I'm excited.
I love it. But you've chosen a great place, obviously, and I know you've been getting into golf, and a great way to kind of get involved and start to raise money and really kick off this new initiative for you. How have you seen? How have you kind of grown to love Nashville and want to have a heart for this community? Because it feels like just yesterday you were drafted here and we were starting to get to know you and you were starting to get to know us. And you fast forward, and as a leader of this franchise and as a leader of this locker room, I just want to commend you on the job that you've done in this community to give back to the way that fans have given to you and cheered for you. And I just love when players and athletes feel like they love the community they're in as much as that community loves them. And we can certainly see that in you.
I most definitely, man. And it's crazy that even when I signed this last deal with, I was on FaceTime with Miss Amy, and I was just all the like memories. And when I got drafted and I first got to Nashville, walking into can't remember exactly what it was at, but it was at the season ticket holder event that they had. And I remember just walking in there. When I walked in that building, and it almost felt like I was at a stadium. The cheers, the clap, like I felt all that again. You know, not recently when I walked in there and signed that extension. It's like since then, man, like this city, these fans have been nothing but great to me, and it's like one of them things to where it's like a home. You know, it's crazy that me and my girl was having this conversation. She asked me like, "What does a home mean to you?" And when I was thinking about it, a home don't necessarily be the house you go and lay your head at. It's where you feel safe. I feel great. I feel like when I run out that tunnel in Nissan Stadium, nope, I don't think about what's going on off the field.
Yeah.
I think about giving my best to this team and to these fans, to this organization. So, man, it's Nashville itself, man. I've been loving here. You know, I always said I don't know too many guys that I know personally, especially growing up, that played with one team. And I had an uncle who played 10 years. He played 8 with the Cowboys. His last 2 with Washington. But to be able to play my whole career with one team, hopefully, like that's my goal. I want to retire Titan. And I have to express that to Miss Amy because it started with the city, it started with this organization, Miss Amy, you know, this is where I want to be. And, you know, I made sure that my agent them knew that when it was time. You know, I even said it. No one, you guys didn't even knew that I was working on the extension because that's the way I wanted to be. They wanted to get messy. I want things to be clean because that's how much this organization means to me and Miss Amy. So,
man, you said something earlier about the legacy you leave behind. I think sometimes fans, the casual fans, forget. You know, we're gifted with a talent. You're gifted with a talent, being who you are. But we all know this journey ends at some point, and it's about what you do beyond that. And you spoke on that a little bit, but now we have, as we talked about off air, dealing with the news of one of our own going through something. Man, can you speak to that and how precious, as we're here celebrating you and what you're doing for the community, speak to that and about Chris Johnson?
That's just insane. Like I was just telling you guys off camera and off radio. I didn't know nothing about it until, you know, I was been seeing all the news that he was going to be on Good Morning America. But I didn't hear the news as I'm walking into the building. I heard you guys say it. I'm like, what? And that's devastating. It's like, it hurt because it's affecting the Titans community, the Titan orders, like our franchise. Like, we know how much he means to our franchise. We know how much, you know, he have done for our franchise. And I couldn't believe it. You know, I just want him to know, and to his family, that we are praying for him. You know, and I think that's where a lot of people don't understand. Like you just said, we have to take that helmet off. When we take off that helmet, we still deal with the same problem that other people are dealing with. And I just spoke about it yesterday, like the mental health side of things, like mental health, you know, sickness, things of that nature too. We're still human, and it sucks. It's one of the things where the Titans just did something with Chris Johnson, at the Senior Bowl, to see these type of things, and now today you get this breaking news, and it's heartbreaking. And
it is.
Man, it sucks, and you know, it's one of the things where even for me as a player, it make you emotional because you just never freaking know. You never know who it could be. Hall of Fame running back.
Man, come on, bro.
Absolutely.
Now look at him today dealing with something much bigger than the game of football. So, Chris Johnson, we're praying for you and your family, the Titan organization. I'm sure they will put out a statement, but I'm sure they are thinking the same thing, that, you know, this is bigger than the game of football, and we're going to stand behind him throughout this.
100%, brother. And I appreciate you sharing that, man, because, you know, as we're here celebrating you and what you're able to accomplish outside the community, man, I want to talk a little bit more about this aspect of it in your expansion. As a leader, you Walter Payton Man of the Year multiple times, and your expansion in this organization from that kid that came here just a few short years ago, because it goes by fast. And, you know, you had Jarrell Casey, Byard, Tannehill. You had some of these leaders in the locker room, and now your expansion, and no disrespect to anybody that's on the roster right now, but the last year or two, you've been the main voice. You know, Cam is growing. He's going to get that. He was just a rookie, but I get it. He's the quarterback, and that's always going to be there. But your voice as that expansion, that leader, and again, I'm not just talking about in that locker room. Your voice is outside, right?
Okay.
As we're here celebrating that. Talk about a little about your expansion as a leader and how you have grown, how you have progressed from that young kid in 2019 to now.
Well, you know they always say it's the guys before you.
Yeah.
When you can have a team and with a great locker room. When I got in, like you said, you got Jarrell Casey, Kevin Byard, Wesley Wood. You got these guys who first off, with Jarrell Casey, I used to joke with him like, got the worst body, but and Jarrell's when he spoke, when he went out there on the practice field, when he went on the game day, no one blocking Jarrell one-on-one.
Right.
He's freaky. Like I'm like, how's he doing this with this type of body? But
that's real.
That really didn't, the game spoke for itself. What they did off the field, from the rally on the runway events to what Kevin Byard and them did with his foundation, what Jarrell was doing with his foundation. Because I think it was his brother who was locked up at the time. The reason why he was doing things towards that with his foundation. But when you could see these things, I'll tell you, I'm a learner. Like to this day, like even becoming into the season before last year, I went to Denard, I went to Coach Callahan. What can I do? We got a young football team. I'm gonna ask questions. What can I do to be a better leader coming into next year? And it's the same thing with my game of football, with the thing off the field. I want to know, how can I be, and it's like one of the things I just talked about, the mental health. How can I have my mental right going into this building to not take my problems into work and things of that nature? It's the same thing as when you go home. Leave work at home. Leave work at work.
Yeah.
When I come home, I don't want that to affect my family.
Right.
So it's just things that me as a person, each and every day, my motto each and every day when I wake up, to be better than I was yesterday.
Yeah.
The same thing from vice versa the years before. I just want to continue to elevate my game, not just on the football field. The leader in my community, because I know we have a platform. And if we don't use that platform, I just feel like it's worthless. And for me, my goal is to impact as many lives as I can through this game of football. And that's what I'm trying to do. And like I said, each and every day I wake up, that's my goal.
I got one more for you here, because I know you're a very busy man today, and you are the master of ceremonies, so to speak, of your golf tournament here at Governor's Club. You've been working out with a couple of guys who know what it's like to play for Robert Saleh, and including your new teammate, John Franklin Myers, and you've been training with Quentin Williams as well. What have those guys told you about what it's going to be like playing for Robert Saleh, not just on the practice field, and I know you've been around the team as well, but what are you most excited about from what you've learned from those two guys?
He gonna let us play. When you're talking to them guys and you hear the excitement, like even Quentin was like, man, I wish I want to be back in that defense. Like, to hear these type of things, to from JFM to know, like, they had so much success in this defense, to just attack and just getting up the field and go create havoc in the backfield. But what they did say, we better be in shape, because in this defense, you will have to run. And I can tell. Of course, I didn't do much at minicamp and OTAs, but heck, I'm on the side field working out, and at one point, I'm like, how many yards I'm getting today? But they wanted to kind of match to practice, and man, like one day I got over 2,500 yards, and that's in minicamp.
That's interior D lineman.
But that's what I'm. So in that point, in that regards, and that's the reason why I stated, when I was going to leave out in the last interview I had, I want to be in the best shape that I could be in, because I know the news, it was out there with coach, like, if you could play more than 4 snaps in this defense, you're not playing the right way. And I continue to stand on what I mean, and I feel I'm a different breed. Coach, I want to be on the field.
Yeah.
I want to come on the field,
That's right.
I know I'm going to come off the field, but in that mindset, for me to be able to get in that mindset, like, I want to play as many snaps as I can, so when I get ready to come back here and for training camp, I'll be ready to be in the best shape I need to be in to do them things. So.
Good stuff. Jeffrey Simmons here with us. Golf for a Reason Day, the Give 'em a Reason Foundation. If you want to learn more, you want to make a donation, head online, giveemareason.org. Congratulations on the new deal. I know there are a lot of Titans fans very happy to hear how you love Nashville, how much you love this place. You know they love you as well. Continued health and success. Thank you so much for being here.
I was definitely appreciate you guys, man.
Yes, sir. Jeffrey Simmons with us. More.
Jeffrey Simmons here on the show with us yesterday. Was at the end of the show. Time to time, we like to throw things back at the beginning of the next show when they happen so late the day before. What did you take away, Dr. Dyson, from what Jeff had to say yesterday?
I think he's a gentleman that's recognizing his value and worth, and we're not talking just about between the whistles on the field. He's understanding his value and worth in the community, and he's expanding on that. He's using his quote-unquote celebrity to do something bigger than himself, and he's committed to this community. He's committed to this organization. He says he wants to be a lifer, and he mentioned, man, it's rare to, as we were talking about John Morant in free agency and moving around, you can tell his commitment to this community of Nashville and surrounding areas, man, and this organization, it meant something for him, man. You know, not that he was getting emotional or anything like that, but you can tell he spoke with it with so much emphasis and care about being here and what it meant to him that he went to the owner and said, well, how can we make this work? You know, he's a class act, man. He's somebody who gets it, and he mentioned he even gave homage to the people before him and what he's learned, and people congruent with him that he's learned from to elevate and even do things even more impactful. So, man, I already was a fan of his, man. Just listening to him talk yesterday, man, even bigger fan now.
Well, Jeffrey Simmons is very motivated to be a different breed and play more snaps than the normal interior defensive lineman plays in a Robert Saleh defense. How possible is that? Well, I went back and found the snap count numbers of how much a very productive interior defensive lineman played for Robert Saleh as a member of the New York Jets. And we'll compare those numbers to what we could expect from Jeff this season. Coming up next. What's going on? It's Will Bowling. Put Lee Company on your team and stay ahead of the game with home maintenance, repairs, and more. For as little as $14 a month, you can become a Lee Company Plus member and receive 4 annual visits to your home for your heating, air conditioning, plumbing, and electrical systems. Even better, Lee Company Plus members receive 20% off on all repairs and enjoy priority service. You can learn more online at leecompany.com/plus. Platinum Home Protection starts with a Lee Company Plus membership. So head on over to leecompany.com and get the over 80 years of experience that Lee Company brings when they show up to your home to fix that AC unit, the plumbing, the electrical systems. They're available 24/7, and they do it all. So get ahead of Mother Nature. Get ahead of those machines around the home that break down from time to time at the worst possible time. Head online to leecompany.com/plus. That's Lee Company, all you need.
The clock is ticking on Genesis Diamond's amazing finance offer. You have until June 30th to take advantage of the hottest offer of the summer. 5 years, 0 interest financing with 0 down. Get in now and splurge. Maybe treat yourself. Planning to propose? Get that stunning designer engagement ring starting as low as $67. Or a 3-carat lab-grown center diamond, just $99 a month. Pick any item, divide the price by 60, and that's your payment with no money down. People have driven for hours to take advantage of this, so don't put it off another minute. Buy that pre-owned Rolex or that designer ring or just a simple diamond pendant. Get the incredible price Genesis is famous for. Then spread your payments over 5 years. 0.0 interest. It's the smartest, easiest, and best way to buy. But hurry, this incredible offer ends June 30th and will not be extended. Only at Genesis Diamonds. Genesis Diamonds are located in Green Hills and Cool Springs. Unapproved credit. Get more details at genesisdiamonds.com.
Ramon and Will, Tuesday morning, hour number one. Kevin Dyson, Will Bowling, 615-737-1045 is our number. Just heard from Jeffrey Simmons a few minutes ago, revisiting our conversation yesterday on the show. As always, you can head to the 1045 The Zone Podcast Network, search for Ramon and Will wherever you download podcasts to get that full discussion. So Kevin Dyson, Jeffrey Simmons says that he is motivated to prove he is a different beast in terms of how many snaps he can play in Robert Saleh's defense. All of this a response to the defensive staff, essentially for months now, saying, if you can play 3 or 4 straight snaps in this defense, then you're not playing with the level of intensity and speed that we want you to play with in an attack-minded defense. Jeffrey Simmons, is going to petition as much as he possibly can to be on the field as much as he can be. I looked at the numbers a little bit on this, and I was really interested to learn about the 2022 Jets defense and a defense that ranked 4th in scoring defense and total defense of the NFL. Quinnen Williams that season had 12 sacks, playing in 16 games as a young defensive tackle for Robert Saleh and the New York Jets. He's 25 years old. He played 61% of the snaps.
Dang.
And that led everyone in the front 7 as well. 61% of the snaps for him, 58% for Carl Lawson that season. A younger John Franklin Myers played 56% of the snaps. Then you have Sheldon Rankins, Nathan Shepard, Solomon Thomas, Jermaine Johnson, Michael Clemens, all under 50%. Jermaine Johnson, obviously, at 27% that season. And that was his, I believe, first season in the NFL where he just had 2.5 sacks that year. That's the kind of rotation we are about to expect. Maybe not to that degree. I think Jeffrey Simmons still gets above 60% of the snaps, but I'm not sure it's going to be anywhere close to the 81% of the snaps that he played last season for the Titans.
It goes against that old adage that you keep your best players on the field, that give you greatest opportunity to win. But you also got to understand, especially for the big boys, give them a chance to rest when on the other side of the ball, them 5 linemen, they're not rotating. So if you're fresh and attacking, the likelihood that you're going to be disruptive increases. I think it goes against tendency of being able to, like I said, keep your best players on the field. And the other part of that is to be as productive or more productive as far as numbers are concerned. Obviously, it goes up with the more snaps you have, because you have more opportunity. But to hear that Quinnen, that he got 12 sacks and only just over 50% of the snaps.
And that was playing 16 games, too, out of 17.
16 games, 12 sacks. That's pretty impressive. And that goes against conventional thinking that you pretty much got to be out there to get the numbers, And so it's going to be interesting to see how this works out for Jeff. I think in this numbers game, I think people love numbers more so. They get enamored with numbers, and that equates your quality or your success, not necessarily the truth in the locker room. They want to see production, not making mistakes and helping us win. And a lot of times numbers do come with that, but at the same time, it's not always about numbers. And so that, to me, shows how Saleh philosophy is. It's about productivity and impact, as opposed to just straight numbers. Because if it's straight about numbers, and I got this guy that can potentially get me 12 sacks on the outside, but he's only playing 40% of the snaps, you would think conventional thinking would be he's not going to be able to get that production because he's not on the field all the time, However, I don't think Saleh ever thinking like that. They're thinking like that you're fresh and you're always attacking, you're going full speed at all the game, that your numbers are going to show up regardless. And I think that's the philosophy, which is a little bit different, a little unconventional than traditional thought.
I think the question I have for the Titans and for Robert Saleh would be, are you already confident enough in the second line of the depth chart to play that style?
Like the U.S. World Cup team.
Sure. Honestly, it's a great comparison.
Yeah.
Like, it's one thing to play that style and be so attack-minded when you have your starters out there. But are you confident enough in the totality of your depth to be able to be that all the time? When it's rookie Jackie Marshall, when you have a 10-year vet Solomon Thomas, when you have Jordan Elliott, who, I mean, may in the base defense actually really be more of a starting defensive tackle next to Jeffrey Simmons. But, you know, when you have to go deeper into the depth chart, are you confident enough in your young players understanding and fitting into your system to be able to keep the same level of play? Because you never know when the most important play of a football game is going to happen.
Yeah.
Because if I'm up by 3 with 4.5 minutes left, and I take Jeffrey Simmons out, and it's a 2nd and 7, and here comes Solomon Thomas, Jackie Marshall, Jacob Martin, and Keldrick Falk rotating in to rush the passer, and all of a sudden the opponent breaks a 40-yard touchdown pass that becomes the play of the game. Well, looking back in hindsight, yeah, that was the most important play of the football game, but I didn't know that when I put my defensive backups in for one play on a 2nd down that I thought was to keep them fresh for a 3rd down. We didn't even get to 3rd down, right? Like, that's kind of the downside to this, is that you need to build that competitive depth to be able to cycle in your 2s and feel like you are confident enough for them playing the same style as your 1s.
Yeah, you know, I think I'd be interested in the data behind it. I think he's super intelligent and smart. You don't get to do what he's done and just because he has not been intelligent. I think it's circumstantial. I think they look at it on flow of the game, you know, and the moments of the game. So, you know, as you were mentioning, you get in there, last drive, you got to get a stop. And Big Jeff and them is, I mean, again, I don't know if it's like a pitcher. They have a pitch count, like, okay, we got to rotate these guys in. I don't think it's like that. I think, again, it goes back to being circumstantial. But if you're looking at it in a situation like you said, it's like, okay, we can get our main guys a rest for one play, so they can come back in, rotate in, and attack on this 3rd down. Does that, like you mentioned, end up costing you, as opposed to, hey, y'all gonna have to suck it up. I know you're tired, but we need you right now. We need your skill. We need your talent to go make a play and eliminate that big 40-yard play. And I think that is where their intelligence, their knowing of the players and their abilities, their conditioning, I think all that stuff is kind of put into this pot, and they got to pull that out at any given moment and recognize, you know, there's going to be times where, hey, Big Jeff, I know we said you got going to go 4, but I need you to go 6 plays right now because we're going to need you, you know, that sort of thing. And again, he's up for the task. I'm just giving an example. But it's interesting to hear these numbers that you're sharing about their D-line, but I can understand the philosophy, because if they're always going upfield attacking and the other 5 guys are in retreat and they're not getting a break, they're playing every snap, that makes it difficult. And if you had that quality of depth beyond the first 4,
that's the hope. Right.
That could be rough.
The thing I like about it is that it does take away some of the consequences of your offense going 3 and out.
Yeah.
Right? And the rest disadvantage you have if your offense is struggling to sustain drives. Well, if you're already resting a lot of your frontline guys on the front 7, there's less consequence to the offense only being out there for a couple minutes. Yeah. Hey, your defense was already rested. So they're more capable of picking up the mantle, theoretically, when your offense struggles a little bit.
Yeah, that's a great point. I love to go watch some of the film from the Jets days when he was a head coach. I mean, obviously we've seen his success at the Niners on 2 different occasions, and even with injuries, he's had success. So maybe that's the answer to our question, because he had some injuries. He had a Pro Bowl DN out, and he still was getting a lot of productivity on his defense side of the ball. So maybe that's the answer. But I think, man, it'd be interesting to go back and watch how they were doing things when they, quote unquote, weren't having success offensively,
right,
with the Jets, and how they were still being so productive defensively.
That's the amazing thing, is that outside of year 1 for Robert Saleh, he always had good defenses in New York. I mean, Zach, you are the Jets fan here in the building. Like, I know stats are one thing, and it's easier to stop the pass when teams are up on you late every game and don't need to pass. But it is pretty impressive to me just on paper how good these defenses were. I mean, Robert Saleh, third best scoring defense of the league in 2023 with a 31st ranked scoring offense. Fourth best scoring defense in 2022 with the 29th best scoring offense. These defenses under Saleh were always solid, for lack of a better term.
They definitely were. And the thing I'm really encouraged about is the fact that he's going to be calling plays here. Honestly, I think that was his downfall as the head coach of the Jets, is he wanted to be a CEO coach. He wasn't really willing to take the Bulls by the horn when it comes to his specialty, and that was play calling on the defensive side of the ball. And I think for this Titans defense, that could be a difference.
Yeah.
I like it.
I think, we've heard this be talked about where guys don't have success at one spot to get an opportunity, and they understand and know from their mistakes and they move forward. And I'll even, like Vrabel, even for instance, I'm sure there's some things he has learned from his mistakes here and he's able to take. And then going back full circle with Saleh, I think you listen to him talk, you see how he's moving about. And I think to Zach's point, he's calling his defense because he's like, if I'm going to go down, I'm going down swinging my way. I'm not going to hand this over and assume everything's being done my way. And what luxury does he have to have another head coach on the offense side of the ball where he doesn't have to feel like he has to dip his hands into it and overwatch it?
Right.
There has to be a level of trust between those two. And interestingly enough, they both were in New York. They both were going through their first stints. And you know what I mean? And so there's
both bald.
Both bald. There's probably a kinship that they have, a language that they're speaking that other people can't because they haven't been in their shoes.
Yeah.
And now there's a level that I think, and I mean, I don't want to speak for Saleh, but there's probably a level of trust he has with Dabo that he might not have had before, that he can say, okay, I can still do this and put my name attached to this and let him do his thing over there. But we'll have a conversation.
Sure. But
you do your thing, and I'm going to go do this, make sure we're good.
615-737-1045 is our number as we head into hour number 2 live in studio this morning. The World Cup was fantastic yesterday. 2 games in penalty shootouts. Another one that was decided in the final seconds. We'll tell you about what you missed if you weren't locked into it. Coming up next.
A day at the spa, the perfect gift for birthdays, anniversaries, or any occasion. Lavish and luxurious, yet affordable. A grand gesture, yet simple for you. The gift card from A Moment's Peace. Give her the gift she won't buy herself. An escape, a bit of luxury. Something special that shows more than just words. A gift from A Moment's Peace Salon and Day Spa in Cool Springs across I-65 from Galleria Mall. Call 615-224-0770 or go online at amomentspeace.com anytime.
The guaranteed offer is the simplest, least stressful way to sell your home. You go to our website, you fill out a quick form, we set an appointment, we bring you an all-cash offer. Literally, there's no lockbox on the front of your house, there's no showings, we pay all cash, we close in as little as 21 days, stress-free. We've helped thousands of homeowners just like you sell your home the hassle-free way with a guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate.
It's Ramon Foster, and I'm with Aaron from United Structure Systems. Man, they came by today to check out my house. If there's anything, any issues, small or big, you're gonna fill us in there.
We can take care of it no matter what kind of problems. So first off, we'll just kind of take a look through your house and see what kind of issues you got going. You know, cracks in the brick, cracks in the drywall, weird spots in the floor, doors sticking, windows not opening properly. Once we identify those areas, we're going to do a thorough inspection around the outside, make sure there's no issues going on with that. And then once we look over it, we'll talk about what's going on, and hopefully we ain't got no issues, and then we'll go from there.
Let's go. Let's go. Foster?
Foster, so we have looked at the issues that you brought up. We had the drywall in the attic up here above your bonus or your garage. You had some doors sticking.
I did.
Going in your bathroom. So we've inspected all that. We don't see any major structural concerns. So you're going to be one of our lucky good news customers today. There is some minor deflection there. That's not an uncommon thing. As any house is built, it's its biggest and its strongest the day that it's born. Gotcha. Right, and from that point, it just gets older, just like us. We ain't hopping up out of bed, taking off down the hallway, running upstairs anymore.
Not protecting quarterbacks anymore.
No.
Opening up late. We're done.
Your guard ain't there no more.
Okay,
so,
I got you.
So it just happens. It gets a little older and it starts to deflect. Now, there are some things we can do to kind of help adjust those doors, mainly adjusting in the door, which we don't necessarily do, and maybe doing some light shimming in the crawl space down there to address those sticking doors. But for now, no major issues there. We did talk about the grading in the back and some issues that we can take care of back there for you. But that's pretty much up in a nutshell. No big issues and you're good to go. So.
Awesome. So again, what you deal with United Structural Systems is it's upfront, it's honest, and now I can sleep peacefully at night, okay?
It is 7:04. Good morning, live from the Circus Sports at the Min Kentucky Down Studio. I'm Zach Kroll. We had another massive trade in the NBA yesterday as the Memphis Grizzlies send guard John Morant to the Portland Trail Blazers in exchange for forwards Jeremy Grant and Chris Murray. Morant was drafted number 2 overall by Memphis in the 2019 draft and is a 2-time All-Star. The World Cup continued yesterday as 3 more teams punched their tickets to the round of 16 as Brazil defeated Japan 2-1, Paraguay stunned Germany in penalties, and Morocco defeated the Netherlands, also in penalties. Team USA is set to take on Bosnia in their round of 32 matchup on Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Central Time in Santa Clara. Finally, the Detroit Lions released starting cornerback and 2024 first-round pick Terrion Arnold after his arrest and charged with kidnapping and robbery last week. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you got to visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Away we go into hour number 2 on this Tuesday morning edition of Ramon and Will. Good morning. Glad you're with us. If you weren't locked into the World Cup yesterday, you missed out on a tremendous day. If you are a diehard soccer fan, if you are just watching the sport for the first time in your life, I think this was the kind of day where you were entertained regardless on either end of the soccer knowledge spectrum. Kevin Dyson, Will Bowling, Zach Kroll, our producer, 615-737-1045. 2 games in penalty kicks, 1 game decided in stoppage time. Late last night, the reason why I was up later than usual before the show this morning was to watch Morocco bounce the Netherlands in front of a packed crowd in Monterrey, Mexico. Morocco advances in a penalty shootout after the match ended 1-1. Cody Gakpo scored in the 72nd minute, but it was Morocco scoring in stoppage time to send the game to extra time. A matchup, Dr. Dyson, of number 6 versus number 7 in the FIFA World Rankings. Morocco, the number 6 team in the world. The Netherlands, the number 7 team in the world. And Morocco finished 4th at the last World Cup, and a lot of folks thought that was kind of their Cinderella run, and they would come back down to earth this year. Absolutely not. They were tremendous yesterday. They had most of the possession. They took it to the Netherlands, and they deserved to win the game yesterday.
Listen, I saw them against Brazil, and I was thinking, okay, that's about right? They're competitive, but it was Brazil, athletic team. But it's not one of those traditionally powerhouses across the world where you sit there and think. I honestly thought they were going to lose that game yesterday. And I didn't realize the rankings till you just mentioned that they're actually slightly ranked ahead of Netherlands.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that. I was thinking it was the other way around. By a wider margin, I was just assuming Netherlands was going to come back, kind of dominate, dictate terms. But similar to the U.S., Morocco is starting to inch their way up and be relevant in the world of football, if you will, from a global standpoint. And that was interesting to see, man. I think people got to keep their eye on them, man. They're trying to make sure people understand that wasn't just a fluke a few years ago. This is something we're ready to do.
Right. And they will next play Canada on July 4th in Houston.
And Canada played well the other night.
They did.
I mean, they scored late, but they played very well.
The interesting thing to me in this game was the way Ronald Koeman, the manager for the Netherlands, set up his team. They set up in a 5-4-1 shape and let Morocco have possession.
Yeah.
And the Netherlands just sat back and
interesting.
Gave them, I thought, a little too much respect with the ball.
Yeah.
As really, and Zlatan Ibrahimovic and Thierry Henry talked about it a ton last night if you're up to see the Fox broadcast. They were not themselves.
Yeah.
The Netherlands have always been a country that plays this free-flowing, attack-minded, fun brand of soccer. And there are countries who set up more defensively and set up not to lose versus to win.
Argentina and Brazil normally get that kind of setup.
Italy has done that so many times throughout the years and had so much success being, solid at the back, good defensively, and not as expansive, not as forward thinking. The Netherlands totally went against what they've always been last night, and I thought it was the wrong decision. I thought they gave a little bit too much respect to a good Morocco team, but their best chance of winning was not sitting back, lobbing long balls to Brian Broby or Wout Weghorst, their 2 strikers, but actually playing between the lines and using Denzel Dumfries, their fantastic right back, and Frankie de Jong, their creative midfielder, and trying to kind of unlock the Moroccan defense a little bit. But hand it to Morocco. That is a really young team still. Achraf Hakimi plays for PSG, one of the biggest, right now the best team in the world, who's won the last 2 Champions Leagues, unfortunately for me as an Arsenal fan. And they still, though, outside of Hakimi, kind of the face of their team, had a lot of 20-year-olds, 21-year-olds, 22-year-olds who they were bringing in off the bench late last night to bring this game home and booked their ticket to the round of 16. Big, though, for Canada that this game had to go to extra time. And then you couple the 2 extra days of rest that Canada has playing on Sunday in the one match that was on Sunday in the round of 32. I mean, this game ended early in Central Time, in Houston time, locally, for when they're going to obviously get to Houston, and obviously they're probably going to travel either tomorrow or the day after, or maybe even later today. That being said, big rest advantage for Canada and a huge, huge, huge match coming up. The biggest match in Canadian soccer history coming up in Houston. In Houston, July 4th. It's kind of funny. The U.S. is playing on Canada Day tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then Canada is playing on July 4th this week.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Funny
the
how that
irony
works.
in that.
I know.
Yeah.
Germany was then dumped out also in penalties by Paraguay. This was the upset of the tournament so far.
And Germany's always one of those countries, especially during the World Cup, you just assume they're going to be in the top of that conversation between Argentina, Brazil, France, England, and Germany. Then you sprinkle in the other ones. Like we talked about yesterday, only 8 countries ever won the World Cup. But usually Germany is in that conversation right there at the end. To go down yesterday like that, that was a shocker.
It was a total stunner. And good for the RPI, for the U.S., that the United States beat this same Paraguay team 4-1. Which, again, we hear the conversation so much about the United States and the way the U.S. played in the group stage. We'll just wait till they play a real team. Wait till they see a good opponent. Well, they already have.
Yeah.
Clearly. I mean, Paraguay, a team that was given very little chance against the number 10 team in the world in Germany. They missed 3 penalty kicks. 4-time winners, Germany, knocked out by the team in Paraguay, who was ranked 34th in the world. So Germany had a goal in extra time from Jonathan Tah to put them up 2-1. It was disallowed from VAR. I thought it was 100% the right call in kind of bear hugging lightly, but still 2 arms around the goalkeeper, not allowing him the ability to save Jonathan Tah's header in extra time. So that was chalked off. It was sent to penalty shootouts. And Germany had been a really good penalty shootout team in its history. They had won 6 of 7 penalty shootouts in major tournaments, including 6 straight since losing the 1976 European Championship final to Czechoslovakia. So they had been really good in PKs. Here's the thing that's crazy to me. None of the World Cup winners from 2006 Italy to 2010 Spain, 2014 Germany have won a knockout match since they won the World Cup.
Really?
Italy's not won a knockout game since 2006 when they won the World Cup. Spain is still looking for its first knockout win since 2010 when it won the World Cup. And Germany is going to have to wait till 2030 to end their drought, which will then be 16 years since the last time they won a knockout match in the World Cup. And that was when they won the World Cup in 2014 in Brazil.
Yeah, I guess I'm going off of the old reputation. And
well, you think of them lifting the trophy, right? Like you think of the brands and the stars over the crest, right? And just all the history. But it has been it's a combined 11 cups that have been played by Italy, Spain, and Germany since the last time they won a knockout match.
And I guess time is just flying because I'm thinking I remember every last one of those, and I didn't feel like it was that long ago. You know? And Yeah, now they're kind of not irrelevant because they're still good teams. But it's interesting that it's like anything else. Like it seems like the rest of the world is closing in a little bit,
right?
With their talents, and I know the world is super small, but it's seemingly countries like Uruguay and even the U.S. are starting to inch their way up into these conversations and pushing these elite countries when it comes to soccer to challenge them for, hey, we want an opportunity to be up here too.
For sure.
I'm rooting for the U.S. I think they're primed and ready. I think, as we were talking about it, as Netherlands packed it in and just was playing a conservative defensive model, trying not to give up points and see how it worked out. Maybe they were thinking to get the PKs was the way to win this game. I don't know. But it's interesting to me if you're a country, say even like the U.S., and you're not, quote unquote, supposed to be there. Man, why not play your game? Let's just go out. Let's go out swinging. We go out our way, and we're going to go out here and try to win. But I know strategy always takes precedence. You got to strategize. You do your film evaluation, and you think would you give yourself the best option. But I'm one of those people like, man, what we got to lose? Let's go get it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. So next up for Paraguay, they will get the winner of France and Sweden, who played today at 4 o'clock. France, to me, is my favorite to win the tournament at this point.
Anything to worry about on that one?
I don't know. I mean, honestly, I think these games yesterday showed us that anybody can get anybody right now.
Yeah, true.
And, I mean, Cape Verde, who's drawn Spain already in the tournament, they get England in their round of 32 matchup. I mean, we've just seen so many interesting storylines and surprisingly competitive games so far in this World Cup. I think anything can happen. Sweden has two really good strikers, Alexander Isak for Liverpool, Victor Gyökeres for Arsenal. That's my team, of course, too, so I'm going to shout out Arsenal players anytime I can, including Gabriel Martinelli, who scored in the 96th minute for Brazil to knock out Japan yesterday, 2-1 in Houston. That was an incredible scene. 96th minute winner, the latest winner in a World Cup game in quite some time for Brazil, but harsh on Japan, who was really good in this game and training here locally at Nashville SC's training facility. Japan was, and they were looking for their first ever World Cup knockout win. So Brazil now gets the winner of Ivory Coast, Norway, which is the first game today at noon. Then the last game today is Mexico and Ecuador. And that is going to be an incredible scene in Mexico City. That one's at 8 o'clock Central Time tonight. We just got a comment in the chat saying Mexico's time at altitude is a huge home field advantage for them. Not against Ecuador, because Ecuador is the one team that can also say that they have practiced and played at altitude because they have all of the exact same levels of training, and like Ecuador is at the same altitude as Mexico, so no difference whatsoever.
So it's going to be competitive.
They literally are facing one of the only teams they don't have an advantage over in terms of the altitude training. And Ecuador, very solid defensively. They just struggle to score.
Yeah.
So only scored 2 goals in the group stage to get to this point. So,
man,
we'll see.
Going back to France, France, you look at their makeup, very similar to their basketball. Athletic, size, speed.
I agree.
Yeah, at all different levels, whether it be the backcourt or the front court. And it's similar. They got one of the best scoring forwards in the game. He's so athletic and fast. He's a matchup problem for everybody, just about. And obviously defensively, they got the big guy in the middle. I can't think of his name. Just very athletic, long, lanky.
Talking about basketball?
Football, football, soccer.
Yeah.
And I think France was similar to you. I was kind of like, it's probably France's to lose.
Sure.
But as you're talking about some of these other games that are taking place, man, there's some people playing some really good soccer right now that can push them. If they can get the right kind of strategy to mitigate that offense that France has, it's going to be a challenge. I'm interested. The Sweet 16 is going to be fun, but when you get to that 8 or even to that Final 4, it's going to be fun.
It's going to be awesome. It's a win for FIFA that there are so many competitive round of 32 games, because this is an expanded tournament, and we've never had a round of 32 in World Cup history.
Yeah.
And the fact that so far, all of them have either been decided in the last couple of minutes of the 90 or in penalty kicks is a good sign so far for FIFA. There were a lot of folks that thought that the round of 32 wouldn't be that competitive because you have more teams playing knockout round soccer than have ever played knockout rounds before. But so far, so good.
Yeah.
I didn't realize Quito, Ecuador, the capital of Ecuador, that city is at over 9,000 feet of altitude.
Dang.
So Mexico has 0 altitude. If anything, Ecuador has the altitude advantage over Mexico.
Maybe they should let them play in Colorado somewhere.
Crazy. Second highest capital in the world in terms of altitude. So I don't think Mexico's got any sort of altitude advantage over the Ecuadorians who are coming to Mexico City to play them tonight. Coming up, who are the underrated Titans of past and present? Guys who you think deserve more attention and appreciation on the 2026 team as we head forward from the mini camp break into training camp in just under a month. I'm curious, Kevin Dyson, your thoughts on who you played with, who you felt like was underrated and didn't get enough appreciation as a member of the Tennessee Titans. We'll do that next. Kevin Dyson, Will Bowling, Ramon and Will, 104.5 The Zone. Ramon Will on 104.5 The Zone. Kevin Dyson, Will Bowling at Ramon and Will on Twitter. Who are the most underrated Titans, past and present? 615-737-1045, our number. Kevin Dyson, would you rather start with a teammate of yours or a Titan of the past, or look at this current team on who you think is underrated first?
I'll go with my era, my team.
Okay.
There was two individuals on that defense that were kind of unsung and just made plays. And, you know, you had Javon doing his thing. Of course, you had Blaine, who was the heartbeat of the team. We had some talented corners like Samari. But Denard Walker.
Okay.
A lot of people don't realize Samari was the marquee corner, and he would take the route runners, but Denard oftentimes would take that vertical guy like a Jimmy Smith, who was at the top of his game at the time, and he had to withstand a lot, and they were getting targets, and he held up. And then Josh Evans.
Okay.
Undersized interior D lineman that just was disruptive and made plays. I don't think he ever got the respect and acknowledgement of his contribution to that team. Those two immediately came to mind right before we went off air.
I like it.
Yeah.
So Josh Evans had 6 sacks as a member of the Jets. It was his career high in 2002. Was an Oilers/Titan from 95 through 01. Had 5.5 sacks in 2001 for the team. But you're right. I mean, 6'3", 280, defensive tackle out of UAB, undrafted guy. Yeah, that's a great one. Denard Walker played 4 seasons here from 97 through 2000 and had, 7 interceptions with the Titans. Had 4 picks with the Broncos in 2 seasons. Finished his career in 9 seasons with 13 career picks, retired as an Oakland Raider in 2005. We were saying it yesterday. I mean, you're only as good as your worst corner in the secondary. And not that he was the worst corner, but your second corner being an unheralded guy who's got to take away a solid number 2. It's a good shout.
Oftentimes he was on the number 1 because Jimmy Smith was the number 1, but Samari was so good and so shifty, he would guard Keenan McCardle. And so they often put Denard on Jimmy Smith, and that's why I get that comparison. But a lot of times when we say we play New England, well, he would be on Reggie Wayne or who the other guy was. Well, Samari had, I'm trying to blink, Marvin Harrison.
Yeah, right.
You know, so, you know, it's just, and as hard as it is to be a DB in the NFL anyway, because it is an offensive league, you really can't put your hands on people much. He held up pretty solid.
Sure.
You know? He made some plays. He might not got the stats, the numbers that go with it, but he was kind of unheralded on that defense, kind of a quiet guy who just went about his job.
Denard Walker, third-round pick, picked 75th overall in the 1997 NFL draft by the Tennessee Oilers out of LSU. Born in, or played high school ball in South Garland, Texas.
Yeah.
And you know how much Bud Adams loved his Texas guys.
Yes.
Playing for the organization for years. And how could you not? Obviously, that was home.
Yeah. And I'm trying to think, between that team up until now-ish, we hadn't got to this roster, underrated?
Brett Bryant has made his way into the studio.
Yeah, I'm crashing this party.
Yeah.
All right, so here's the thing, KD. You got to tell him, if we're doing underrated, Frankie got all the shine in the tight end room.
Yes.
Michael Roan was one of the best athletes and best production guys as a hybrid style tight end. He just made things happen. He got hurt in the opener in Buffalo in 2000 after the Miracle game and never, but he would tell him about Michael Roan because he was amazing.
You talking about in this day and era of receiving tight ends, a guy that kind of is, I don't even know what you call it, a rarity who could do both.
Right.
You know, because it's almost now how the tight end has transformed is either you're a blocking tight end or you're a receiving tight end. You know what I mean? And that's kind of how the position has evolved with the guys in her athleticism and being able to stretch the field vertical. But he was a guy that catch the ball in traffic, tough guy, in hands, decent route runner, physical at the point of attack, great blocker. I think Frank would, if Frank was around, he would tell you, man, he owes a lot of respect for what he did and how he evolved. And his injury was gruesome. I remember seeing that thing, his leg, man, that was crazy. But yeah, and Aaron Kinney was a very good player for us.
Absolutely.
And I don't think people appreciated his skill set and the things that he was able to accomplish for his time here. And another person I thought about was, and he had some times, was Bo Scaife. I think, don't get me wrong, we've had, Delaney, we've had Frank, we've had some pretty good tight ends, and Scaife is right up there. But I don't think people appreciate how good he was during his time here. He had a good career while he was here.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it a lot. Michael Roan, great shout from Rhett Bryan stepping in here. The one I always think of, honestly, is a guy who in 2004 could have had an even better breakout season than he had. It's Chris Brown, running back from Colorado. Played 11 games in 2004, 220 carries for 1,067 yards and 6 touchdowns, had 4.9 yards per carry, 97 yards per game that season. But if he had been able to play the entire season and not miss the final 3 games and miss 2 more in the middle of it, I mean, with playing 11 games, having over 1,000 yards, we obviously think of Eddie and we think of CJ2K, we think of Derrick Henry, we think of all the great backs that have been here. But that 2004 season for Chris Brown, I know it was a little bit of a forgotten season in Titans history, the way that it went. Goes under the radar a little bit.
That's a great one. I honestly, and how good he was, you forgot.
Yeah.
You're right.
Right.
That's another great one.
His son Blaine playing baseball for Tennessee now, which is crazy.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Man, yeah, I forget about him, man. You forget about that year he had prior to injury. And you know what I always liked about him? Is we were talking off air about rushing records and things like that. Eric Dickerson was always one of my favorites growing up. It was something about the goggles and the way he ran, that upright style and how fast he was. He was always as a kid, he was always one of my favorites to watch.
Sure.
And Chris always kind of reminded me of Eric Dickerson, his style, how he ran, because he ran upright pretty much. But yeah, that's another good one.
A lot of submissions in the F&M Bank chat. Emmett says Yancey Thigpen, underrated Titan.
I think he had his is hard to say just because the injuries that caught up with him at the end of his career.
Yep. Another submission for Jarrell Casey, super underrated. Mike in Cleveland says.
Yeah.
Craig Stevens, another one.
That's interesting. Another tight end.
Roger Saffold, Daniel says, underrated. Interior offensive lineman. Ramon would be nodding his head to that.
He love that, yeah. I think so, especially around that time and era. That's another good one.
I think it's solid. Let's see, who else is in here? Billy Volek.
Billy, for what he did when he came in, for his time, I don't know if he's underrated as more as underappreciated.
Mm-hmm. Fair.
Yeah.
I think it's fair. Delaney Walker mentioned. I feel like Delaney's pretty well appreciated.
Yeah.
As he should be.
As he should be.
As maybe, you could make the argument as the best free agent addition in the history of the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah.
In how impactful he was as a player that was backing up Vernon Davis in San Francisco and then came here and was not just a number one, but was the leading receiver of the Tennessee Titans for a lot of his years.
Yeah, I don't know if he's underrated. Again, maybe underappreciated, not by us here in the community, but by National Football League standards.
Right. I think locally he is definitely properly rated.
Absolutely. I think so.
On this team, who is the current most underrated Titan in your opinion?
Man.
I think there's one easy answer. It's Tony Pollard.
That's where I was going. Honestly, that's who I was going with. Just because, as I was thinking his name, I was thinking about the appreciation for what he does.
Sure.
And has done. He's a 1,000-yard back, 1,100-yard back. He did this under extreme circumstances last year.
Without much of a pass game.
Yes.
Right.
He can play every down. He's got great hands out of the backfield. He picks up the blitz, and he still's productive running the football. And I think I don't know if he's underrated or if it's one of those things where I think people are so much about let's get her back and disrespect it. And don't get me wrong, the kid from Notre Dame is going to be a phenomenal talent. But remember, that was a conversation like, we should get him, we could get rid of Pollard. I'm like, Pollard was one of your main guys last year who was the most consistent. Like,
right.
You be careful what you ask for there. You know what I mean? Again, I'm not saying Jeremiah Love is not going to be.
I was with you.
A great, phenomenal running back in the National Football League, but Pollard wasn't the reason why the offense wasn't successful last year. I mean, again, it's offensive football. It's a team game. And so I like that pick. So I was trying to think of somebody a little bit different that might be underappreciated or underrated. But there's a couple of young guys that came to mind, like Io Manor, who now, because where does he fit in this scheme of things? And we saw him continue to get better from week to week. There's guys like that I felt like, but Pollard is a good one. That's a good one.
I think Io Manor is a good example of what Chig kind of fell victim to in his 4 years here as well. Guys that flash so early that they reset the expectations for themselves. Because Chig in 4 seasons essentially averaged 500 yards and a couple of touchdowns each season that he was here. For a tight end drafted 143rd overall in the NFL draft, that's probably about right.
Yeah.
For what that is supposed to bring you back. For Alec Manor last season, a guy who was drafted 136th overall, 4th-round pick. Obviously, he will tell you he expects more of himself than 41 catches for 515 and 4 touchdowns, what he had last season. That being said, considering the limitations on the Titans' passing game, Cam Ward having a couple of different play callers and unfortunately a couple of different head coaches, one being Brian Callahan and obviously an interim and Mike McCoy, and then Alec being thrust into a wide receiver 1/2 role for a lot of the season. The fact that a 4th-round pick yielded you 41 for 515 and 4 touchdowns as a rookie,
that's pretty good,
is at the very least meeting expectations for what he was supposed to be.
Yeah.
But he was so impactful and was thrust into such an important role so quickly that I feel like we reset the goalposts for him of why isn't he bringing in more of these and got to catch that one and got it. Like, I think for all things considered, Alec Manor was a great rookie for the Titans last season and set himself up to really exceed expectations for where he was drafted over the course of his time here.
Yeah, man, that's a great one too. But I think we underappreciated, not necessarily underappreciated, but what him and DK did last year in the midst of injuries, ridicule. I don't think anybody expected them in that franchise, and they said that they expected that these guys are come in and have the production that they have. I don't think they saw that. I think if you got this kind of production, that's a win. That is a definite win. And that shows you their ability. And it's going to be interesting, this rotation this year, not to fast forward, but this rotation this year, with Calvin Ridley coming back and Waddell, and of course, 1st-round pick, and then you got a Pro Bowler who's special with the ball in his hand, Io Manor, who's shown he can make plays from time to time and using his big body, how they're going to use his body. And, it's going to be see how they navigate this throughout the season because there is some talent there. But I like him as far as on this roster. And, again, it's hard to say underrated or underappreciated because I think those are kind of two different things.
Sure.
I think he might be on that other side of underappreciated guy.
It's fair. Very fair. 615-737-1045. Let us know who you think is underappreciated in the past or present of Tennessee Titans football. Plus, an update to the very sad story around Terrion Arnold and his arrest over the weekend. I'll tell you the latest on his status as an NFL player and no longer a Detroit Lions player. Coming up next. Wrapping up hour number 2 this morning, first half of the show here on Ramon and Will. Kevin Dyson and Will Bowling. Austin Price of VolQuest joins us here in a half hour. And Casey White of Apple TV will talk some World Cup and MLS with us in the final hour at 9:20 as well. 615-737-1045 as we look for your submissions on most underrated Titans. I got a text from Finland, Dr. Dyson, where my brother lives now.
Oh.
He says Neil O'Donnell, underrated Titan, underappreciated Titan.
I was going to say, that's another good one.
It's a great one.
That's another great. You know what? And people might, I don't know how they feel about this one.
Okay.
Lorenzo Neal.
Absolutely.
Again.
Fair.
If you look, I think his whole career is underappreciated, underrated. I think he's a Hall of Famer.
Sure.
I mean, you look at the backs that he has blocked for. Pro Bowler, Hall of Famers, LaDainian Thompson, Eddie George, Corey Dillon, Work Done, Mike Allstott.
He's one of the all-time great fullbacks ever in
Him
this
and
sport.
Sam Gash, they need to have a Hall of Fame for them too.
Sure.
And there's other fullbacks too, but them two in my era were two of the best ever.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's a great one.
Neil O'Donnell, that's another good one.
Yesterday, the Detroit Lions released Terrion Arnold after he was arrested last week on felony charges of armed robbery and kidnapping. Really sad story. And a player that was just a first-round pick 2 years ago in the NFL and the big headline in the league this week. So his bond was set at $1 million Monday in Hillsborough County, Florida, by a judge who added the conditions that he's not allowed to contact with 6 co-defendants or witnesses in the case, has to surrender his passport within 48 hours, confined to his residence in Tallahassee, Florida. So he's been in custody since Wednesday night. When he turned himself in, authorities accuse him of orchestrating the abduction and beating of 3 men whom prosecutors believe he wrongly suspected of having stolen luxury goods and $100,000 in cash from him. And he had 2 years and $4.8 million remaining on his rookie contract, 2024 first-round draft pick out of Alabama. EAG Sports Management, who represents him, says there is very little evidence to suggest any criminal involvement by him, but essentially was, according to prosecutors, orchestrating a kidnapping that other folks were carrying out, they allege, on his behalf. It's a sad story, and a guy that clearly, whether or not he's guilty or not guilty of this, has gotten mixed up in some really bad stuff.
It's unfortunate, man. Pride and it has a way of getting people sometimes. And I think, I don't know what his circumstances were. I'm sure all that stuff is insured for the most part, other than maybe the cash. How I look at it now, of course, I'm 51 years old now, is you're 6 feet above ground, just happy you have your life regardless of the items and things that you're missing out on. And I get pride gets us, and you feel like you got me, I'm going to get you back, so to speak. I mean, I'm putting that lightly considering the allegations.
Sure, right.
However, you had a bright future ahead of you, and whoever, if this is true, decide to do this to you, their future is not as bright as yours, and now yours is even dimmer than theirs at this point.
Sure.
Potentially, I should say. It's potentially you missing out on a rare opportunity he would have got all that back at some point.
Right.
Right. He's just on his rookie deal, and he was pretty talented. So I hate that, man. I hate to hear something like that, man. In this day and age of just information, and it's a sad story, especially if it's true.
$1 million bond, and it still has not been paid yet. So still in custody at the moment, but the kind of charge that you don't wait around to kind of let the process play out in terms of your football standing with the organization you're at. Detroit kind of only had one choice within all of this. So really sad. Judge had said he would be able to practice. They were not going to do the ankle monitor so he could practice, and his representation argued he wouldn't be able to do both within that. But really sad situation, and Hope things get resolved there the best way they can. But awful
for the team to let him go.
Mm-hmm.
They do their due diligence. They're
Right.
They're just going to just go out there and say they probably have done a lot of their homework prior to. So it doesn't look good just from an outsider looking in.
Yep. Coming up, we'll reset the headlines for you. The NBA hot stove heating up in Memphis and on the West Coast with some reporting about LeBron James, potentially the Golden State Warriors. We'll recap all that. Get a little World Cup update for you coming up next. Hour number 3 of the program and second half of the show on a beautiful, hot, and muggy Tuesday morning in Nashville. 615-737-1045 is our number. Kevin Dyson is filling in for Ramon Foster. Zach Kroll is filling in for new dad Justin Hawkins. I'm Will Bowling at Ramon Will on Twitter. Austin Price coming up in 20 minutes. And Casey White of Apple TV talks some World Cup and MLS with us in hour 4 at 9:20. The super team allegations are back, Kevin Dyson, in the NBA.
Uh-oh.
Because Shams Charania is one of many reporting that the Golden State Warriors are planning a pursuit of LeBron James in free agency and Anthony Davis via trade this week, opening up the flexibility for such a possibility after Draymond Green declined his $27.6 million player option Monday morning. He had until 4 o'clock Central Time to decide on the option. Team and league sources told ESPN Draymond Green would turn down the one-year financial guarantee and the Warriors would work on a new contract, lowering his salary for next season only if it freed up the immediate flexibility for Golden State to secure a significant roster upgrade. All 3 of those men are represented by the same agent and Clutch Sports CEO Rich Paul as well. How much does this move the needle for you, LeBron James essentially being a Warrior, and how much does this impact his legacy if he retires a member of one of the organizations that was for so many years standing in his way of being an NBA champion?
Yeah, I don't know how much of a significant move that is for Golden State. He's obviously inching up into his 40s, still playing a high level, still putting up 20 points a game. Don't get me wrong. He's one of the, if not, well, I'm a Jordan fan, so let me stop by saying he's not the greatest. But
sure,
it's just hard for me to see from that perspective to get those 2 gentlemen, both aging, one having a history of injury the last several years, one of the reasons why he was let go from L.A., to go to Dallas. And by the way, everybody knows I'm a Lakers fan, so that's part of this conversation.
Sure.
And it just, I don't know the impact that they're looking to have, where the trend is to get younger impact players and not aging ones. Steph Curry is still Steph Curry, but he also is getting older as well. So now you're talking about most people's rosters are getting younger. You're actually moving up into the older echelon of rosters. That would be an interesting move. And as far as LeBron's legacy, his career kind of speaks for itself. He's probably had the greatest career ever in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
It is kind of the same notion of when Michael Jordan went to the Wizards. And at first I didn't understand it. Now I understand the economics of the business part of it.
Sure.
But at the time, it was like, don't do that, man. Just go off with the Game 6, hand posed up in the air, game winner against the Jazz. Just let that be it. Let that be my last memory I have of you in a uniform. You know what I mean? And that's kind of that same sentiment for me, thinking about him going to Golden State. Now, he's 40-something years old. He wants to continue to play. I get this might be the opportunity to play. But in my head, it's kind of like that Game 6 jumper, Michael Jordan. I just want to remember you from these moments as opposed to just hanging on to a career at the end there.
It's interesting because I think you're 100% right. It does equal kind of the ending in Washington for MJ. But imagine if that Wizards team had then competed for an NBA championship and had been a legitimate contender. Or even had won the thing. I'm not going to pretend to know if that Golden State team is immediately going to be competitive to win an NBA title. But, I mean, just looking at the guys that they would have on their roster, I mean, you've got to at least put them in the discussion in the West.
Yeah.
So how much more would we remember Michael in Washington if Washington had been good, like really good at the very end? I don't know.
I don't know enough about the rest of Golden State's roster.
I'm with you.
And to even make that comparison, but I'm looking at who's the teams in the West right now. San Antonio, OKC, Denver, and give or take, the other ones is kind of hit or miss. Like
sure.
LA Lakers, they were up there until Luka got hurt. Houston, they had their moment. But if you look at the top 3 teams in the NBA in the West, does LeBron addition to Golden State put them in that conversation?
I don't know. I mean, they would probably have to trade Jimmy Butler and draft capital in order to add Anthony Davis. And again, how healthy are these guys?
Yeah, exactly.
You were talking about a team that 10 years ago would be the greatest team ever assembled.
Right.
With Draymond Green, Steph Curry, Anthony Davis, and LeBron James. But are those guys healthy next June?
And I'd say try to find a way to keep Butler because he's going to give it to you on both ends.
Right. And apparently it's kind of a package deal of LeBron and Anthony Davis, who are good friends, despite the fact that AD obviously got shipped to Dallas a couple years ago in the Luka Doncic trade. But I would tune in.
For me, definitely worth watching.
For me, this is the ultimate casual, not a diehard NBA fan, perfect thing for me to happen because I think it'd be great television. I do think it would be an odd way for LeBron to finish his career.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, it would be a fitting way for him to kind of wrap a bow on the super team era in the NBA that he was certainly a part of and in a lot of ways right in the middle of, obviously in Miami with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh, but really, really interested in this actually happening. For you as a Lakers fan, do you want him back in LA next season?
Man, that's a double-edged sword. Again, I'm kind of old school when it comes to this kind of things and seeing guys finish out their careers with where they're at and the longevity and what they brought to a city and team. But we're also in a free agent era. LeBron hasn't kept that. That hasn't been his MO. He could have stayed in Cleveland, chose to go to Miami, came back, and now, of course, now is in LA. And then to see him in a fourth uniform, if you will, would be interesting. I don't know if that diminishes his legacy, as you mentioned. But having him back in LA, to me, makes sense because it complements Luka. But you also saw that transition to it's now Luka's team, and LeBron is getting a little older. I think we'll be getting enamored with this. We're still remembering LeBron from 5, 10, 14, 15 years ago.
Right.
Compared to the guy now who still is productive. He's still putting up 20-something points a game, which is phenomenal at 41 years old, you know?
It's crazy. There are people who their entire lives, like people who can drive cars, their entire lives have had LeBron James as the face of the NBA.
Yeah.
That's crazy. There are people on the road right now driving who do not know a world where LeBron James is not an NBA player.
Yes.
That's insane. And it may never happen again, honestly.
It may never. And we got to appreciate why we have it. It's similar like Tom Brady. At some point, you knew it was coming to an end.
Right.
It's just a matter of that win. And that might be a comparison. Did that diminish
I think so.
His legacy by him going from New England to Tampa Bay? Obviously, he won a title, so that changes that transition timeline a little bit.
Sure. I think the only reason that one is different and doesn't is because Tom was still with one team his whole career until that move.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And, you know, if he had jumped around a couple more times, then I think it would be a little bit different. But I don't know. I think coming out of the Paris Olympics 2 years ago and how much fun it was to see that group of players together and LeBron and Steph on the same team, getting that for, I won't say 82 games a season because those guys at that age are not playing 82 games. Getting that for 65 games a season, I would tune in.
But that's 2
I
years.
hope it happens.
That's 2 years ago, Braun, too, now.
That's true.
And
that's very true.
And 2
years ago, Steph.
And 2 years ago, Steph. And he's inching up on 40, and LeBron's inching up at 40 plus. He is 40 plus.
I think it's a fascinating case study for so many reasons, on and off the court. I hope this happens. Yeah. I really do. As someone who does not consider themselves an NBA fan, this would make me more of an NBA fan.
It'd be great news for the NBA to see them
Oh, my gosh.
You know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But I don't know if I'd call them a super team anymore.
Oh, right.
Maybe about 10 years ago.
Super old team.
10 years ago. That day, if it was 10 years ago, you might as well put the title on Golden State.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Or maybe not even 10. You can just even 5 years ago, if this had happened, we'd be like, that's going to be the team to beat in the NBA.
No question.
Yeah.
It's so funny when you mention LeBron's name, the takes that you get on either social media or our YouTube chat. We just said the words LeBron and James back to back. We got a comment that says, LeBron's not even a top 5 player of all time. What are we talking about, man? We're not gonna, this isn't First Take, so we're not going to sit here and talk about all-time greatest starting fives and greatest players. We'll leave that to the good folks at ESPN and ESPN2 who have daytime television hours to fill. However, that's wild.
Yeah. I mean, and I know the argument between him and Jordan. And
Yeah, right.
I think the greatest career by far has been LeBron James. He's had the greatest NBA career.
I would agree.
Of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you rank him number 1, number 2, or even outside your top 5, you can't deny what this man accomplished in 20 plus years of professional basketball under the biggest microscope there has ever been.
Truly.
On a player, even
since
more so
the day
than
he was
Jordan.
drafted, too.
Since the day he was drafted, in the social media era, and he continued to win, progress, and be productive at a high rate, 20 plus every year of his career.
Right.
And like, you cannot deny this the greatest NBA career we've ever witnessed in the history of this league. Now, I just happen to be biased because I grew up wanting to be like Mike, just like everybody else in that game.
Sure.
I want to be. Everybody, it was Mike. So instantly, I get defensive because I'm like, no, Michael Jordan's the greatest of all time. But I can also understand this era of kids, like you said, that doesn't know the NBA without him. They're 20-something years old. Like LeBron, you've been watching since you were 3.
Right.
And now you're 20 plus, and you're like, man, LeBron's the greatest, because you didn't see Mike. And like Michael Jordan even said, it's hard to compare eras, who's the best of all time. But you got to give him his props, man. Greatest career ever.
A kid who was born in 2008, which was the year LeBron James won his first MVP, is now legal, is now 18 years old.
Yeah. Like, I can understand. Like,
that is insane.
Absolutely LeBron's the greatest of all time.
I mean, when you put it that way, it is truly hard to wrap your head around.
Yeah. And he's still going.
And this past season, he played 60 games, played 33.2 minutes per game, and averaged 20.9 points per game for the Los Angeles Lakers.
That's crazy.
Totally ridiculous at age 41.
And in the playoffs was the best player on the roster.
Right.
In the playoffs for the Lakers.
You don't have to love him. You do have to respect him.
Absolutely.
No question.
Absolutely. I'd be curious what Slay say about him and
Yeah.
where he ranks him.
Right.
Is he the greatest of all time, or is he, is he right after Jordan? Is he between Jordan and Kobe? Like him and Kareem? Like who's his top 2 or 3 guys?
It is the ultimate water cooler and bar conversation.
Yeah.
Always. And First Take, again, conversation. Yeah. Coming up, Austin Price of VolQuest and On3 joins us. George McIntyre was at the Manning Passing Academy. How did he fare down there? And Chaz Coleman finally off the roster. The inevitable has happened in Knoxville for Tennessee football. We'll talk about all of that and more with Austin Price of VolQuest for his weekly visit coming up next. The real estate market in Nashville is a difficult one to navigate. You need that local agent with years of experience serving Middle Tennessee. You need Bernie Gallerani. Hey, it's Will Bowling. Bernie Gallerani guarantees to sell your home in 30 days or less, or he'll buy it. There's no risk to you. Bernie Gallerani will let you out of the contract at any time. He is the real estate agent with the 30-day guarantee to sell your home. If not, he'll just buy it from you. So if you're ready to sell your home, start by knowing its true value. Bernie Gallerani's new home value estimator is fast, free, and easy. Just head online to his website, BernieGallerani.com. In fact, Bernie is so confident about his ability to get you results, he's given out his personal cell phone number, 615-428-2644. His website is great, BernieGallerani.com. Give him a call at 615-428-2644. Move with confidence with a 30-day guarantee online at BernieGallerani.com.
This is a different court, Blair.
Same result, Slay.
Oh, okay, Blair. See, that's Tyler Tanner. See, Tyler Tanner's in the house now.
Let's see what you got. Jerry's out, Blair.
Blair, come on. Okay, Blair, just come sit down. Come on, Blair, stop. You're going to get hurt. Blair, get off the court. That's enough.
What's the verdict, Blair?
The courtroom is where I play ball.
Boy, Durham, injury law, and that ain't got no rules.
Every time the glass breaks, you get the latest out of Knoxville here on Ramon and Will with Kevin Dyson filling in for Ramon Foster this morning. I'm Will Bowling as we welcome in our good friend Austin Price of AllQuest and On3 with a lot to get to, as always, on Rocky Top. Austin, good morning. How are you?
It's a Music City miracle. We don't have Ramon this week.
I like it, brother. You know, miracles happen every now and then.
Well put. There are no flags in the studio this morning, Austin. Let's start with George McIntyre, Austin, with him down at the Manning Passing Academy. How did he fare down there with a who's who of quarterbacks, including a certain Manning who plays for Texas as well down there?
I think, George did a nice job. Obviously, they had a lot of competitions, and you have people there that are grading it as well. So, I mean, I think George had a solid performance down there. I don't think Tennessee was going to go another year without sending somebody, and George made the most sense. He's been on campus longer than Faison. I don't think you read anything into it as far as, who the starter is or who's in track. This is still an open competition heading into fall camp, and, who proves they can go out there and mentally handle it and process and run the offense. Probably those first two scrimmages will be the person that lines up in that first game against Furman there to open the season.
Austin Price of AllQuest, our guest. Austin, we have not asked you or Brent about Chaz Coleman in a couple weeks because it has been leading towards what finally happened last week of him no longer being a part of the Vols roster, and it finally happened on Friday. Why now? What made this the time to go ahead and all the I's be dotted and the T's crossed for Tennessee to move on with Chaz Coleman?
Well, I think they had to go through a certain process. It finally got to that last week when he signed off on being medically disqualified, and it's no more, no less than that. Again, there was a certain dot the I's, cross the T's type procedure you had to go through here for this. This was not just as simple as you're off the team. It was never that simple. And so that's why it kind of maybe drug out a little longer than some expected, but that's why it kind of is where it is today.
Hey, man, it's Dyson, man. Good to talk to you, brother. Along those same lines with Chaz, man, who do you feel like role will change or have the biggest impact going into the season this year?
I think Jordan Norman, Kevin.
Yeah.
He was going to play some strong side defensive end. If Chaz had been here, now he'll slip over and like to play a lot of Leo. But I think the way they rush the passer will be different. I think they'll use more big-bodied defensive ends, which is something you see a lot in the NFL.
Yeah.
You don't even, you just see bigger guys coming off the edge at the next level, and then we'll have that specific Leo position, so to speak. And so I think Marion Dye will get more opportunities. Tyree Weathersby will get more opportunities. But to really drill it down to one person, it would be Jordan Norman.
Yeah, I can see that too. I like his skill set. There's other players that we're not necessarily talking about. Who's another player or two that you feel like they're going to expand and have big jumps going into the second year?
Second year guys, I do think that'll be key. Brent, that's not Coach at Hall. Brent Hubbs wrote about this, and he's like, I kind of took your thought process. And I was like, yeah. I was like, well, I think it's really going to be something that really will tell the tale of what Tennessee does this fall are those second-year players, Kevin. I mean, you look at we talked about Marion Dye. We talk about Ethan Utley and Isaiah Campbell on the defensive line. Maybe not as much at linebacker because it's so deep, but, I mean, what Harmon does, what Perlotti does in the secondary, what kind of jump does Ty Redmond make in year two. But even some of those backup corners and backup safeties like a Dylan Lewis in the back end of the defense. And then on offense, Deshaun Brain, DeJuan Morris, Radarius Jackson and Travis Smith, all of those players in year two, and let's face it, let's say if George wins the quarterback job, he would be a second-year player. All of those players were in last year's recruiting class, all of which Tennessee thought very highly of and would like to see build upon what they did last year as freshmen and have big jumps in year two. So I think a lot of those players are going to get a lot of run, and when you're getting a lot of run, you need those players to take big steps in year two.
Austin Price of AllQuest and On3, our guest this morning here on Ramon and Will at Austin Priceless, where you get him on Twitter. Austin, what are the first impressions of Tennessee's new basketball team? And I would normally just ask about the specific guys, but obviously, as you know, it is a new team. So what are people kind of learning? What do you think this staff has learned so far? There was an open practice to media members, and this staff gets to know the new guys there.
Very athletic. Still have to come together. A lot of experience, a lot of basketball IQ with this group. Again, scores and more scores. You look at the number of guys that are averaging over 10 points a game at their previous stop, it really is impressive. And there's only one ball to go around, so that's where the whole gelling and learning to play together and all that stuff comes in, because that'll be so pivotal for this basketball team. But it's hard not to like Day-Day Ames, Terrence Hill, Juke Harris. The Harrelson kid from Notre Dame is to me kind of like Josiah Jordan-James. He could bring the ball up as a point guard. He can play in the post as a four. Can kind of do a little bit of everything. It's hard not to like this team. Miles Rubin down low defensively. It's hard not to like what they all bring individually. Now, collectively, together, how do they play? I don't think we're going to know that for a while, but I think it's easy to get excited about what this team could be if they gel properly.
I know Rick Barnes talked about the open spot that they still have. A ton of Tennessee fans are like, what about J.P. Estrella? And I think we know that ship has certainly sailed up with him at Michigan, and even though his coach has moved on to the Dallas Mavericks. Do you see Tennessee being aggressive with that open spot? What does kind of the roster gymnastic look like for them if they were to go try to find a player to fill that open spot they still have?
I would call them deliberate, very deliberate. They're going to be looking for certain things, whether that's, once you get into the summer work and you kind of figure out what you are, as the Blue Angels go across top of me down here. Once you figure out what you actually really need and continue, we'll do it another 5 seconds, guys. As we're
You're good. We can't hear it, so you're all good.
Okay, good. Well, I can certainly hear
no
it.
worries. I'm sure.
When you look at what you actually really need, I would tell you, and that's probably going to be at the post, you're going to be very deliberate about what you try to go find. And then you've got to come to terms from a NIL perspective. And are they an overseas kid? Are they not? Who's still available? I think they'll be very deliberate. I don't think there will be some rush to add a player. I think this will be something that's, more well thought out than anything else.
Well, shifting gears to a little bit of business, the shift from to Adidas. What do you fans expect as they shift to Adidas? As University of Utah is doing the exact same thing with Under Armour.
I don't think you'll see a drastic change in the uniforms, Kevin. I think they'll be very similar to what they've been seeing the last few years, at least in year one. I mean, are they going to have a few wrinkles or two? Sure. But I don't think the overall uniform, the jersey, the pants, will look much different at all compared to what we saw now. I mean, I think the numbers may be a little more different, but the color and stuff, I mean, that's been something that Danny White and that team have been, very deliberate themselves about. Like, hey, this has to be, what looks right. This has to be Tennessee orange. This has to be, on point. And that's been months in the making.
Mm-hmm. As we'll finish it up, and as we're talking about business, part of this big business between NIL and, of course, we're talking about merch. What about this transfer portal? What can we expect from the baseball coach down there, Josh Ellender? What can we expect from him as he's finishing up, going through the portal and things of that nature?
Yeah, I think they're going to continue to add a hitter or two. You know, I wouldn't call them done by any stretch of the imagination, but I think, you know, they're past the halfway point as far as adding players, and I think they definitely need to add a bat or two more. You know, obviously, you know, the shortstop Ramirez is not officially announced, even though that was kind of reported by a few people on Twitter last week. I still feel good about where Tennessee's at with him. It'll probably be a matter of time, and probably the fact that it leaked out probably slowed him down a little bit, because, I mean, kids want to announce on their own terms, you know. They don't like going to others announce for them. So I think that probably slowed it down a little bit, and you know, again, they'd like to add a hitter or two, in my opinion. And then if they get the right look as a pitcher, same with that route.
Austin, final question for you here this week is, how many 5-foot putts do you think you will make this summer that Scotty Scheffler missed yesterday in that playoff hole?
You know, I'm not going to hate on Scotty. Scotty just hit it through the break. He hit it too hard. He hit a lot. I mean, that putt, the first putt down the hill on 18 on Sunday before he made the par putt to force the playoff was hit too hard.
Right.
You know, he struggled with speed, I thought, at least on Sunday. But, you know, he's the best in the world for a reason. He's having a down year. He's won once and finished second like 27 times. So, you know, I'll take that. He inches closer to Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy's all-time earnings on the PGA Tour because of how, like, gross the money has gotten in the last few years because of the Live Tour. So
I'm with you. Yeah, that sound.
He'll be okay.
He'll be all right. Does it sound the alarms? Another top 2 finish for Scotty Scheffler.
The bigger question is do we consider Dyson the Mr. Belding of 104.5 guest hosts? I mean, since he is the principal and all. I mean, do we consider him? Do we consider him Mr. Belding?
Hey, pretty much, man. I come here ready to rule, like the hallways, man.
I love it.
Do you come in and go, hey, what is going on here?
Exactly.
Well, you don't even get that reference.
No, I was with you.
You're so young. You don't even get the reference.
You know my brother well. There was a lot of Saved by the Bell on TV growing up. Absolutely. I'm with you. I'm tracking.
Yeah, except for Wes was actually watching Mr. Belding. I was watching Kelly Kapowski.
That's right. That's right.
I understood the reference, and also on an unrelated note, I have a really fast internet in front of me with Google. So, yes, I can get any reference in about 5 seconds. Austin Price with us this morning, Tuesdays at 8:20 here on the show. Have a happy 4th, Austin. Hope you have a great weekend. We'll do it again next week.
You too. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, man.
Austin Price with us here on the show this morning. I love it. Mr. Belding. How about that?
He went back. He did.
He did.
Deep into the history books right there.
He absolutely did. So there was a jersey leak last night of what the Adidas look will look like for Tennessee. I'm not sure how many people saw this. And the first look at it, I have a rule on this stuff that and for you to know, and obviously our many of our listeners know this, I like uniform stuff. I'm a jersey guy. You don't have to. I know there's a lot of people here that just don't care. Like, whatever, just win.
Yeah.
And I understand that as well. I have always been a jersey guy growing up. Mm-hmm. I don't know what it was. It's why I liked Oregon growing up. I love the Nike stuff. I grew up in that generation of different jersey every week for Oregon, stuff like that. I just enjoy it. So this stuff interests me, and I know it does for a lot of people as well. The first look last night, and if it's real, first look allegedly, big numbers, the old Nike font gone for Tennessee. It looks like 90s and early 2000s, like massive numbers.
Oh, wow.
Tennessee football, and I like it.
Old school.
I like
back the old school numbers.
My rule, though, is that I never have a strong opinion, positively or negatively, on a uniform until I see it on a football player or just in general in any sport in action.
Yeah.
Because there's so many jerseys. Like, I remember when the Preds, when they did the big Adidas switch and the Predators had their new white jerseys with just like the yellow with the yellow shoulder pads, and it looked so basic. And then it got on the ice, and I actually quite liked it. I thought it was good.
Are you superstitious person? Like if they
Not
when
really.
they do the blackout or the colored out
Yeah.
and they lose, you're like, no, don't wear those again. Just you're not one of those.
Within reason.
Okay.
So the only one of those that I really subscribe to, it's a great question, is the orange helmets after what happened in South Carolina in 2022.
Yeah.
When Hendon Hooker tore his ACL and Tennessee had their pathway to the college football playoff ended.
Yeah.
And, Connor Stallions gave South Carolina our signal. I'm just kidding. That didn't actually happen. That one, like the orange helmet that's the only time we've worn orange helmets ever.
Uh-huh.
And it was such a bad game and such like a traumatic experience that you're not going to ever see those again.
Yeah.
That being said, there's a section of the fan base that hates Checker Nealon because Tennessee lost so many games in Checker Nealon at first under Butch Jones. I think any way you can get fans to engage and stuff like that and create a cool atmosphere, let them do it. Right? Like uniforms are one thing, but I don't know. Justin jokes with me on me jinxing things and all the time. Our producer Jayhawk, and my response is always, if I could control the outcome of sporting events with my words, then my teams would have a lot more championships in my lifetime.
Yeah, be undefeated.
A lot more championships in my lifetime. There is nothing that I can do or say that's going to impact it, in my opinion.
And I would say this from a player and a coach perspective, they get caught up in that superstition.
Were you superstitious?
Oh, absolutely.
Or just a little stitious? Okay, so you were superstitious.
Yeah. I have a 100-yard game. I got dressed the same way, wore the gloves. I was just, you eat the same thing. It's just, it has no bearing on the game, but it's a placebo mental aspect that you feel like it is. Like you obviously, you played this way and you felt something, so I'm going to try to get that feeling again.
I get that.
So to speak. Whether it's because of a uniform why we win or lost, the color of our uniform.
Right.
I don't know if that's the case, but I definitely have my superstitions.
So as an athlete, I was very superstitious. As a fan, I'm not. Because as an athlete, my mindset was routine is comfort.
Yes.
And routine takes away anxiety if something has worked.
Yes.
Before every race, I would do the same run out. I would do like 2 jumps. I would bring my knees up and like kind of flex out my legs the same way. And then I would get down on a knee, I would say the Lord's Prayer, and then I would run back to the starting line.
Yep.
And that to me was taking away anxiety and just putting myself in a good headspace.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely. And the way you verbalized that is exactly what it was. It was just like a comfort thing, like
for sure,
like a routine to push me in that space.
Right.
Even though every moment, every game, every competition is different, but if you could put yourself in that same mental space prior to the competition, I feel like you give yourself a better sense of control, if you will.
I would get so anxious before races, especially like until I was really a senior in high school. I would get so nervous that I needed anything I could have to calm me down. Like people would be listening to music to hype them up. I was listening to like slow songs.
Yeah.
I would legitimately warm up to like Colder Weather by Zach Brown Band to like literally calm me down and lower my heart rate a little bit. Because as a distance runner, you don't need all of the energy off the starting line. Like I need the energy with a mile left, not at the beginning. So that to me was the biggest thing of like, all right, calm down. Because the goal of the sport I did is to put yourself in as much physical pain as possible for a certain amount of distance that I needed to calm myself down from thinking about that.
I could resonate with that. I know guys that had to listen up to hype it up music, hip hop, whatever it was, rock. And then there's guys that went always far back as like gospel.
Right.
Just had to regulate themselves and get their mind, get calm before the storm, so to speak. I was kind of the guy on the other side. I needed music. I wanted that energy.
Sure.
To amp me up. But I empathize with the anxiety and nervousness before the game. And I've always said, and you said now, if you're not nervous, you're not ready.
That's true.
You got to have that nerves, like you about to go perform, about to go put on this uniform.
No question.
And so that was always part of it for me.
615-737-1045 is our number. We'll hit some more NFL headlines as we wrap up hour number 3 coming up next. An ESPN writer has graded the offseason for all 32 teams and given the move he liked and the move he disliked the most. What did he say for the Titans? We'll talk about that coming up next. Ramon Will on 104.5 The Zone, wrapping up hour number 3. Kevin Dyson, Will Bowling, 615-737-1045, our number. So Seth Walder at ESPN.com, Dr. Dyson, is giving grades for all 32 teams on how they fared this offseason. And he is giving the Tennessee Titans a B-.
Really?
Saying biggest move is hiring Robert Saleh. Move he liked was signing defensive tackle John Franklin Myers. And move he disliked was signing Alontae Taylor at corner, which I find interesting. Do you want to start with the explanation on the positive or the negative side here?
I'm going to hear the negative side.
Okay.
Yeah.
He says, as for the Titans' quarterback signings, not as good. Tennessee gave Alontae Taylor a 3-year, $58 million deal with $42 guaranteed per over the cap. He was coming off a legitimately good season with the Saints, but allowed 1.6 yards per coverage snap, far higher than average in each of the previous 2 seasons. Given the year-to-year variance, he says, I'd be very hesitant to pay this kind of money without a longer track record. He adds the Cordell Flott signing of 3 years, $45 million was perhaps even more surprising, saying his yards per coverage snap numbers have been solid in each of the past 2 seasons, but he wasn't expected to receive this much money heading into free agency. So using analytics as a kind of primary source here, yards per coverage snap, he was basically saying an outlier in 2025 for Alontae Taylor. Playing as a nickel last season for the Saints, now expected to move back to the outside, doesn't like the money paid and the risk involved there.
You know, I can understand his perspective. I think also, too, to take into account systems, what's ahead of you, meaning your D-line, what's in front of you from a corner's perspective. Are they able to get at the quarterback, pressure, allow me to be able to take gambles, take risks, or not have to cover as long? Essentially. What do they do on the back half of their defense? Is he primarily man-to-man, zone, all the different aspects that come with playing corner? So I get it, his viewpoint from that standpoint if you're just going on analytics. The data sometimes doesn't tell the whole story and how they plan on utilizing him, whether it's rotations and things of that nature. And, of course, we talked about Big Jeff and the guys in their pass rush. It remains to be seen. I think at times, I'm trying to remember who else was on the market this spring that also could have been in conversation, but would have commanded similar dollars that would have helped your roster from a Titans perspective, because that was one of the parts of last season where we felt like they had to address in the offseason, and they did, which free agency, he probably was on the top half of the corners available in free agency.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And so those players for cornerback position, Jalen Watson was a big one. And going from Kansas City to L.A., $17 million average per year. Tariq Woolen goes from Seattle to Philadelphia, $12 million a year. He just gets a 1-year deal. Jamel Dean goes from Tampa to Pittsburgh. He was highly rated by PFF and someone that they certainly loved. But I think the thing for me on this is that he doesn't have to be an outside corner if we do end up learning that Alontae Taylor's 2025 season was the outlier.
Yeah.
The Titans are taking a gamble that 2025 Alontae Taylor is the closest version of what 2026 is going to be. They are taking that gamble while changing his role, moving him from inside to outside. If that isn't the case, and let's say the worst case scenario does happen and Alontae Taylor struggles statistically as he moves back outside, being asked to cover more number 1 and number 2 targets, I think you always have the option then to just bump him back inside.
Yeah.
You do have the added depth at corner with Joshua Williams, who comes over from Kansas City. And that's a player who didn't sign for a ton of money, just 2 years, $8 million and 3.25 years guaranteed. played just 17 snaps in 2025, but has kind of been that solid fourth corner in Kansas City for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And really made more of a name for himself in 2022 and in 2024 as a depth pickup with starter upside and maybe an upgrade on the kinds of Trey Avery type roles that the Titans have had in the past of that fourth corner who is always asked to play because soft tissue injuries and corners are unfortunately a match made in heaven. And skilled players in general in today's day and age. But you are always going to read the bad parts of an offseason evaluated as the overpays on stuff like this.
Mm-hmm.
National people love looking at a team like the Titans, grading the moves they made, looking at the good ones and bad ones, taking a look at the dollar sign next to the production and saying, this was an overpay. And my follow-up question is, okay, well, what would you have done instead? What would you have done instead? Would you have drafted someone in the second or third round? Okay, well then, where are you finding help at edge rusher, where you have a deeper rotation that's got to be played now?
Mm-hmm.
Because you take Keldrick Falk off the roster. Okay, well, now all of a sudden we've created another needed edge when we know with Robert Saleh, they've got to play 6, 7, 8 guys over the course of a season rotated within that front seven.
Yes.
Of course you're going to overpay somewhere. Titans chose to overpay on the secondary. Fine.
Which was a vast need going into this offseason.
Big time.
Yeah.
It is the room that is going to have the most change year over year. Marcus Harris is the only corner left from last year's initial 53-man roster. That's it. And he was a rookie day 3 draft pick this time last season. Now he's your starting nickel. If you feel like you need to move things around and Alontae Taylor becomes your starting nickel again, great. That is the thing that I think I'm most interested in, though. I think it's my biggest question mark on the defense. How does the new look secondary fare considering the money that they paid for two guys who were clearly in high demand for them to get as much as they did?
Yeah. You know, I think the tricky part about draft and free agency is, one, we talked about this a little bit yesterday. Sometimes it's about fit and not about the sexy part of whatever that is about a guy. Oh, he's 6'2", 200, whatever. It's just, how does he fit in his locker room? How does he complement what we already have? How does he add value to our team? And it's not about what we think as fans and what we think they should spend on or what analyst says they do that. Sometimes they're doing their own analytics and they're saying, okay, to your point, we could always move him back inside. Let's see if he still has value and he can still cover some of these guys on the outside. Worst case, we know we got a decent nickel back and that we can put in there. Because those nickel backs are almost starters now at this day and age, which a lot of people doing 11 personnel
100%
all the time anyway. And so, to me, again, I don't, without looking at the film, without looking at all the data and who was all free agents, things of that nature, I'm making the assumption that you see value in a guy that not only do you potentially have a outside corner, starting corner, you know you have a guy that you can put in inside and cover in them tough areas and still make plays for you. That's an interesting pick. And I guess he had to pick something that's the weakness of free agency and things of that nature. And if you're doing your numbers, I can see that. But, you know, it remains to be seen. I've seen him play a couple times, man, and he's made a few plays. He plays corner in the National Football League. You're going to give up plays. It is what it is. The receivers are so athletic. The quarterbacks are so good. It's an offensive league. It's hard to be successful as a corner in the National Football League. And we've seen him hold his own. So, and he's motivated coming back, and we'll see how that works out for him.
I would have also said John Franklin Myers as my favorite addition. I think it's such a no-brainer. Guy that's played with Saleh, complements Jeff, can play outside, inside. It's going to be awesome. That being said, having watched Carnell Tate practice, that is now my favorite thing the Titans did this offseason, is drafting Carnell Tate. I did not think I would say that. I liked the pick when they made it. I was shocked by it, but I did like it. Having watched him now, I get it.
Oh, he's explosive, man.
Oh,
he's so
goodness.
smooth, explosive.
He looks the part.
He does. And again, we're talking about OTAs and mini camp. There's no pads.
It's not
on.
everything.
And right now it's slow paced and there's a lot of learning going on. But his explosiveness, his ability to catch the ball outside his frame, using his length, man, it's exciting about the potential of this young guy. And I think some people gave me grief because I said I was shocked by the pick. I was shocked. And now, granted, you're going off of what DK and Ion Manor just coming off of. You figure Cal really was coming back. You got Waddell in the free agency. I was kind of surprised at that pick where it was, in our opinion, my opinion, there was other must and other needs to address as we were talking about corner. We're talking about protecting your quarterback. We're talking about other playmakers. However, you understand if he's one of your top 2 or 3 playmakers and he's sitting right there and we don't know, this is all speculation, and your number 1 playmaker just goes right before that pick, well, then you got to go ahead and get a guy who you feel like can bolster your roster and make plays for you. Mm-hmm. And so far, again, no pads on, all the things, he's looking very, very polished and ready, man. He
looks like a number 1 receiver.
He does. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to watch him progress throughout the year.
I agree. Coming up, 2 ex-NBA players were indicted in a gambling case, a significant story that we'll react to coming up next.
It's Ramon Foster for Medical House Calls, where they're available to you 7 days a week from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Same-day appointments are available for you or next day guaranteed. Anything from primary health, urgent care, IV therapy, medical weight loss is available to you. And here's the thing. These are not just regular techs. No, these are doctors and nurses that are sent to you to help you be a better version of yourself. If you're feeling fatigue, persistent illness that's been going on, or injury, or difficulty focusing or being productive, there's an IV therapy for you. If you have or feel yourself having a sickness fall over you like I did a couple of months ago, I reached out to them. They came over to my house, administered me an IV, and I felt amazing the very next day. I beat the cold before the cold beat me. But it's not just that part of it, the IV therapy. They have medical care that can come to you and handle your sicknesses, infections. If you have an injury, they can help you that way. In-home labs, testing, and so much more for you is available to you. And again, it's just bringing back the concierge medicine to where they can just simply help you out. You can reach out to them by calling at 615-838-2375 or head over to medicalhousecalls.com.
A day at the spa, the perfect gift for birthdays, anniversaries, or any occasion. Lavish and luxurious, yet affordable. A grand gesture, yet simple for you. The gift card from A Moment's Peace. Give her the gift she won't buy herself. An escape, a bit of luxury. Something special that shows more than just words. A gift from A Moment's Peace Salon and Day Spa in Cool Springs across I-65 from Galleria Mall. Call 615-224-0770 or go online at amomentspeace.com anytime.
It is 9:05. Good morning, live from the Circus Sports at the Mint Kentucky Down studio. I'm Zach Kroll. We had another massive trade in the NBA yesterday as the Memphis Grizzlies sent John Morant to the Portland Trailblazers in exchange for Jeremy Grant and Chris Murray. Morant was drafted number 2 overall by Memphis in the 2019 draft and is a 2-time All-Star. The World Cup continued yesterday as 3 more teams punched their tickets to the round of 32 as Brazil defeated Germany 2-1, Paraguay stunned Germany in penalties, and Morocco defeated the Netherlands also in penalties. Team USA is set to take on Bosnia in the round of 32 match on Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Central Time in Santa Clara. Finally, the Lions released starting cornerback and 2024 first-round pick Terrion Arnold after his arrest and charged with kidnapping and robbery last week. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you got to visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Away we go to the fourth and final hour on your Tuesday morning edition of Ramon and Will. Glad you are with us. Talk some more World Cup coming up in 15 minutes with MLS Apple TV analyst and former U.S. women's national team midfielder Casey White. Here coming up at 9:20. He is Kevin Dyson in for Ramon Foster. I'm Will Bowling. Zach Kroll, our producer. Big news yesterday again in the gambling front, Kevin Dyson, and it's just the latest and what has become unfortunately normal in sports in the world and in America these days. Former NBA players Malik Beasley and Ed Davis and an NBA agent are among 6 defendants that were indicted yesterday on charges related to an alleged sports gambling scheme that targeted at least 4 games during the 2023-24 season. Federal indictment released yesterday, and according to it, Beasley lost millions of dollars gambling during his 9-year NBA career and then agreed to manipulate his stats ahead of at least 4 games 2 seasons ago while he was with the Milwaukee Bucks so that co-conspirators could wager on the stats. It included examples totaling more than $75,000 with net winnings of at least $121,000. So Ed Davis texted Malik Beasley, December of 2023, only way you can beat Vegas is sports betting. We can make some good money. A month later, Beasley informed Davis that he intended to underperform on rebounding in a January 2024 game between the Bucks and Cavs, according to the indictment. He finished with 3 rebounds under the betting line of 3.5 at some sports books. This is a scary thing to learn about, and it's scary to think about how much stuff like this really could be happening and how much the FBI has really got to get involved.
Listen, you said it yesterday, I believe, about sitting in those compliance meetings, listening to them speak about the perils of stuff like sports book gambling. We talked about it yesterday. It's interesting because of the access that's for entertainment, right? Mm-hmm. People making a game more relevant and staying in tune of what's going on. And you drop a couple bets and you figure it out. But it's getting dicey now with players being able to influence what's going on within those numbers, those projections, those numbers, and being able to say, yeah, his over-under is 3.5, and he ends right at 3 rebounds, and somebody gets rich. I think it was yesterday you said something to the effect of, like, players would give somebody else, like a family member or friend,
right,
money, make this bet for me.
Yeah, so like you Venmo a buddy, hey, do this for me.
Yeah.
And you're still clean, technically, in terms of the like social security number tracking stuff,
right,
that teams and leagues have, but you still gambled. You just had your buddy do it for you. I'm sure that's happening.
Absolutely. is happening, and probably up until the professional levels as we're talking about it.
Right.
It's a scary proposition to think of people who have influence on the outcome of games are literally gambling to make extra few dollars on the side. And
it's crazy.
What's crazy is the NBA is they're all millionaires for the most part, not all of them, but most of them are, and guaranteed contracts.
$60 million a year deals.
Yeah.
I mean, you have backups making starting skill player money.
Yes.
In the NFL.
Yes.
For NBA contracts. Right. Guaranteed. 100%. So after Malik Beasley did not perform as agreed in a March 21st game against the Nets, he was demanded to either compensate the conspirators for their losses or just manipulate his performance in future games. That's where the dangerous thing starts. As soon as you get a debt, and then maybe you can't hide that, all right, this rebound came right to me. I have to literally catch the ball. Otherwise, people are going to know what's going on.
Yeah.
And your over hits when you're trying to hit the under.
Yep.
All of a sudden, now you're in hotter water.
Them dudes that bet on that money, they don't give a dang about that. They want that money.
Absolutely they do. It is a really dangerous thing for the integrity of any pro sports league to have something like this come out.
Oh.
It is literally attacking the foundation of sport in manipulating these things. And think about these co-conspirators were willing to say, all right, we'll just throw a game in the future.
Yeah.
What happens when someone gets angry enough to be violent?
Yep.
What happens when someone is so angry that you got over 4 rebounds and they wagered $1 million on your under on rebounds and shows up to your house?
Yeah.
Thank goodness this was only, hey, either just pay us back or I watched enough Sopranos or Godfather or Mafia stuff to understand when somebody needs money,
they gonna come get it.
What kind of stuff happens? That's exactly right. And I'm halfway joking and saying it, but also there's plenty of examples of that.
Yeah. And what's crazy is, man, it does. Where does it end? Because then you're saying, okay, you're the favorites in the NBA Finals. Instead of closing out, we need you to turn the ball over, whatever, so we can expand this money
for sure.
I think, man, you think about gambling in its totality. You think about going to play cards at a casino or things of that nature. I think, for the most part, I think people treat it like a sport, entertainment sport. But there are those that it is big business. And what's interesting is, was it earlier this year, basketball season, with Chauncey Billups and him, they got in trouble. He was just facilitating card games.
Right.
That was, obviously people were being hustled. But still, he was facilitating card games as opposed to literally betting on the event in which he was playing in. And he pretty much was vanished out the league after that.
And Jonte Porter was the other example a few years back of being caught for doing this.
Was that Miami? Was he Miami?
I can't remember specifically where he was.
Yeah, but that it's becoming more and more evident. So for all those that are doing it, they're looking. They're just waiting. They're just gathering evidence.
Toronto, that's where Jonte Porter was. Yeah,
Toronto, that's right.
That's right. It's crazy. I mean, it's only a matter of time until somebody legitimately gets hurt in a situation like this. And that's what has to be protected against. You can't have somebody offering to throw a game or throw their own line and somebody accidentally gets them an extra rebound or an extra assist or something like that. And all of a sudden somebody's knocking on your door and things can really get out of hand.
But the integrity of the game is dismissed. There's going to be those cynics that say, that come from behind when the Knicks had against San Antonio, that was somebody gambling, saying, "Oh, they threw that game away so people can make money." There's going to be those cynics that think that, especially of recent news of things that are happening across collegiate and professional ranks. And it's hard not to argue against them, but I like to believe there's 99% of the people are doing and playing with integrity and trying to win a competitive game.
I agree. Coming up, we'll continue to talk World Cup here this morning with Casey White, a former U.S. women's national team midfielder. She serves as a match analyst for MLS on Apple TV. How big of a challenge does Bosnia present the United States tomorrow night in a round of 32 match coming up in Santa Clara? We'll talk about the U.S., we'll talk about the tournament, talk about favorites that are starting to emerge as the knockout stages continue with 3 more matches today. All that and more with Casey White of MLS Apple TV after this. Ramon and Will continues this morning on 104.5 The Zone, talking a little bit of soccer here on your home for Nashville SC. Alongside former Tennessee Titan Kevin Dyson, filling in for Ramon this morning, I'm Will Bowling. Pleased to be joined by Apple TV MLS analyst and former U.S. Women's National Team midfielder Casey White, talking a little World Cup and MLS this morning. Good morning, Casey. How are you?
Good morning. I'm great. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. We are excited. We are all in on the World Cup. We watched the World Cup a couple of days ago, U.S.-Turkey, with like a couple thousand of our best friends at Geodis Park, the home of league-leading Nashville SC that I want to talk about as well. But I want to start with U.S.-Bosnia coming up tomorrow, Casey. Where does Bosnia, in your opinion, present the biggest challenge to this U.S. team?
Well, first of all, I'm glad that you are all in, so well done there. As far as Bosnia and Herzegovina goes, they are a team that is comfortable just keeping games close and making other teams frustrated. They'll sit in defensively in a low block. They like to score on set pieces, corner kicks. They have player profiles with a lot of physicality. So they'll try to keep this game as close as possible, keep a lot of numbers in front of goal, and just try to frustrate the United States.
Casey White of Apple TV with us. How much can we really learn from the Turkey game? And I know it probably gives the team a little bit of a sour taste in its mouth as it prepares for Bosnia, but obviously a lot of changes, a lot of squad rotation from Mauricio Pochettino. What was your biggest takeaway on something that you felt like was significant for the U.S. coming out of that loss?
This is one of those games where I don't think you can take a lot tactically out of it or have it be something that really thwarts the way that you look at the United States team because of all the different changes, not only in player personnel, but just in the continuity and playing with units. That can really throw things off at times, and they still had very good moments in that game. What you can take is the reminder that you can't take anything for granted. Anyone can win on any given day. I think there's a humility piece in that. They were having to show resilience, and now they get a second chance where there's no more second chances. So I think the biggest takeaway is remember that anyone can show up on any day and get you out of the World Cup.
So, Casey, it's Kevin Dyson, man. It's good to have you on. You know, there's been a few surprises in this round of 32, and we're inching closer to that Sweet 16. What are some countries that we need to keep our eye on that potentially can make a long Cinderella type run over the next month or so?
I don't think I've recovered from yesterday. The games were so unbelievable. I just couldn't believe it. I will say this. Morocco was a semifinalist in the last World Cup, but it took everyone by surprise. This World Cup, they're a team that everyone wondered, was that a fluke or is Morocco here to stay? I think they answered that question yesterday by beating the Netherlands, who has a rich history, by also, just dominating them throughout an entire 120 minutes before it went to penalty kicks and then pulling it out. So they're one to watch as well. I do believe that everyone needs to keep an eye on Norway. They're playing today at 1 o'clock. The reason is I don't know if they're necessarily going to be a contender to win the World Cup, but when you have a goal scorer like Erling Haaland up top who can absolutely change games, I'll be interested to see how far they can go in this one.
Will mentioned it earlier about schematics and how people are using different defensive philosophies, packing it in, not necessarily being aggressive. And we've seen the U.S. was amongst the leaders in ball possession. What are some tactical trends that have happened in this World Cup that may be surprising you in the way people are approaching the game?
One of the things that we've seen just over the course of the last year or two are these lower block systems, like you mentioned, especially if they feel that they can be really disciplined defensively. We saw it a little bit with Japan yesterday as well in approaching Brazil. When you have an opposition that has high attacking potency, this is a lot of what people are doing, especially if you have pace up front that you can counterattack from. They'll use that to be able to do it, or if you're really good with service on free kicks or corner kicks. So the trend I'm seeing from the attacking teams who are having to face this is that they have to have a holding mid. So like a Tyler Adams for us, for the United States, that sits in front of the back line and makes sure if anything goes wrong, I'm protecting this back line so we have a numbers up advantage. The teams that get lulled into just keeping the ball and not staying organized in case they lose it are the teams that are really caught off guard.
Casey White of Apple TV covers Major League Soccer, former U.S. women's national team player as well. Looking at this U.S. team, Casey, who is the X factor for you? Not named Fuller and Balogun or Christian Pulisic, who's got to meet this moment in order for the United States to potentially get to its first World Cup quarterfinal in 24 years?
Okay, well, I'll put two out there. I already said one, which was Tyler Adams, and it might be one that people don't think about a lot because the attacking production is not something that he's known for. He can score a goal and everything, but it's more what he does in the middle of midfield that allows the attacking players to be unlocked and play with freedom. He wins tackles. You'll see him start central, and he'll cover and make a tackle on the sideline. So he works really well east to west. And his brain, the way he cerebrally sets himself up to make sure that he can sniff out any attacks from opposition is huge for us. The other one I'm going to put in there is Matt Freese in goal. Goalkeepers have to come up with the save you don't expect if you're going to continue going throughout a tournament like the World Cup. Not only having a consistent, solid performance, but pulling that one out that everyone goes, are you kidding me? Like, that needs to happen. You need the goal scorers, but you also need that in net.
Looking at tonight's matchup in Mexico City, Casey, between Mexico and Ecuador, it's incredible. Mexico drew like one of the only teams that they don't have an altitude advantage on, first of all, for an Ecuador team that is certainly used to that. What stands out to you about this matchup? Obviously, the incredible home field advantage that Mexico will have at its back, but facing an Ecuador team that struggled to score in the group stage, but is as talented defensively as any team Mexico could have seen at this stage.
This is a tough draw for Mexico, and I would personally give anything to be at this game. It will be unbelievable atmosphere for the fans. I was at the Germany-Ecuador game, which earned Ecuador the right to get the third place and to play in this game versus Mexico. My question going into that game was, how are they going to approach it? Were they going to sit back like we've been discussing, or were they going to press and go after it? And Ecuador defensively just pressed Germany unbelievably well. They pressed high. Angulo and Valencia up top were part of it. Sometimes you'll see 9 players do it, and your forwards won't do it as much. They did that. So Mexico is going to have to be aware that they are going to look to put them under pressure. I don't think Ecuador is going to sit back against them, and that is going to make for a very exciting game between these two countries.
Yeah, Casey, I got just one last question for you. Just out of curiosity from you, you've been there. You've obviously played at the highest level, and this being it, one of the most watched sports events ever. When the U.S. women won the World Cup, it had a lasting impact on sports, especially soccer and for young ladies. If the U.S. can make a substantial run here in this tournament, what do you think the impact would be over here in the U.S.?
I remember 99 like it was yesterday. I was 15 years old, and you're 100% right. The women winning the World Cup not only impacted me and inspired me to play at that level, but it really brought in an entire country. And you said it right there. The impact that the men's national team could have would be astronomical if they could get very far in this World Cup, or my goodness, even I can't even think about it. If they won, unbelievable. What I think it does, and even having our other host countries do well, is that the ecosystem in this area of the world and the respect globally that the game would get would be one thing, but also bringing in the casual fan that is seeing all these wonderful stories around the World Cup. But it's also a culture here in the United States where we like winners. Let's be real. We like to win, and that's okay. And I love that we are unapologetically that way. So as the U.S. men continue to get better and better and hopefully go as far as they can in this World Cup, I think we'll bring in those more casual fans that see that what our men are doing is pretty unbelievable.
Casey White of MLS Apple TV, former U.S. women's national team midfielder, our guest. Casey, who is the team you believe in the most to win this World Cup at this point? France, obviously, back in action today against Sweden. Spain started off with a little bit of a bobble at the beginning of the tournament, starting to find their stride, maybe in front of goal a bit more. Are they still the favorite to you? Is France that team? Who do you believe in the most at this point?
The 3 coming in for me were France, Spain, and Argentina. Spain, for me, hasn't answered those questions yet, so I'm not hanging my hat on them. My head goes with France. top to bottom, their roster, multiple goal scorers with Dembele, with Mbappe. Sometimes you need it, but you need a few X factors, but you also need those supporting casts that can also distract and score goals as well. My heart is with Argentina. I have been an Argentina fan since Diego Maradona played back when I was 9, 10 years old.
Nice.
And obviously, how do you bet against Leo Messi? I mean, he's unbelievable. My only question with Argentina is, do they have the other players that can score goals? Because Messi can do it a majority of time on his own, but it helps to have the other ones, and they're starting to step up. So one of those two, I think, is going to be back in it.
Well, we do have a team here. You mentioned we love winners in America. We love the winner of Nashville SC here in Nashville and what the boys in gold have been able to do. And we broadcast their games here on the station. For this team, Casey, as we get ready for 2 weeks from Friday, coming out of the World Cup, and a Nashville SC team that's going to host Atlanta United coming up in about 2.5 weeks. What are your expectations for the boys in gold leading the Supporter Shield race at this point? And what will it take for them at the end of the day to be right there with Messi and Inter Miami in the East, and maybe with the Supporter Shield as well?
Well, one, I can't believe we're 2 weeks away. This time is flying,
right?
This summer. But Nashville's obviously doing amazingly well. And I'll go back to what I was saying about even France and Argentina. Having multiple goal scorers is usually a recipe for success. And with Surridge, what he does, what Mukhtar does, having multiple people that can contribute, what that does is it just doesn't allow scout opposition to really focus on only one player. And it goes beyond those two, even for Nashville. So that is something that I think will work incredibly well throughout the remainder of the year. Having 3-4 people that contribute in front of goal. They have been on such a roll and been playing so incredibly well. I'm actually sad I haven't called a Nashville game yet, so I'm hoping to get one and make it out that way to you guys. But I think it's going to be a great second half of the year.
I love it. Casey White, former U.S. women's national team midfielder, MLS, Apple TV analyst, does a great job discussing the beautiful game on the national team level and MLS. Casey, great to have you on. Appreciate the time. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Casey White, our guest this morning, talking a little World Cup and MLS. Love the moment that soccer is having in this country and in this city right now.
Put on full display, not since we saw the women do it here.
Yeah.
That it has been to this display, and seems to be going off seamlessly. Not a whole lot of drama, I should say.
Yeah.
But it's fun. I love her perspective. It's good to hear like somebody that's, played and been there and be able to speak to the tactical aspects of the game and be her vantage point of actually being a professional. It's going to see if it holds true who she feels like can win this thing. Again, you said earlier, I kind of agree with you. France is the team to beat.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think so too. And just from back to front, we were talking on our monthly Nashville SC show, NSC Backstage, about this with Tony Husband, who's another Apple TV broadcaster who has been covering the World Cup on the international English feed across the world. And he put it well, the spine of a team is what matters at a tournament like this. Mm-hmm. And looking down the middle of the field, your strikers, your central midfield players, your center backs, and your goalkeeper are at a premium in a tournament like this. And you look at France's spine, Kylian Mbappe, who I think is the best player currently in the world right now. Mm-hmm. I think Lionel Messi's probably still number 2, amazingly, at his age, but I would give Kylian Mbappe an edge in terms of overall quality and ability. You look at their center backs. William Saliba, I think, is the best center back in the world right now, the best defender in the center of defense at the moment. Konate, who's at Liverpool. You have Mike Maignan, who's playing at a very high level in Italy in goal, but the middle, the spine of that team, all being Champions League winners, World Cup winners. It's a team that's kind of been there and done that.
Yeah.
I still do worry, to Casey's point, I totally agree about the secondary scoring options for Argentina, for the other players, not named Lionel Messi, being able to live up to that standard and expectation a little bit. And a team's ability to have someone shadow Messi and not leave him, because amazingly, he still does find open space at the top of the box, which I will never be able to understand how, and I know he does really well in just walking and finding space, but it is still amazing how much teams just leave him in transition and can't mark him. We'll see. It is going to be really fun. I think that the television numbers being through the roof, the interest in the United States being where it is, all of that is going to reach a crescendo tomorrow night in Santa Clara. And I'm just curious. I'm a little nervous. I'm curious how the U.S. team meets the moment tomorrow night. They did against Paraguay on June 12th in their first match of the group stage, a 4-1 win that essentially at that point even booked their ticket into now the round of 32 where they are after winning the group. But this is a team that has scored in the first 11 minutes in all 3 of their matches so far in the World Cup. They've not had to go 30, 45, 60 minutes without a goal and with the fans kind of being on top of them a little bit and feeling the weight on their shoulders. And Bosnia is going to be a team that's going to sit back, take a lot of pressure, absorb a lot of passes, and just say, sure, have the ball.
Yeah.
Try to break us down, try to pass it through us. How does the U.S. respond if they don't get the early goal? That's not something we've had to see yet. Yeah. I don't want to see it. I'd rather them score and they just never have to go a long period of time without scoring. But do they start to feel that pressure a little bit tomorrow night if things don't immediately go their way?
Yeah.
We'll see.
And especially coming off the last game, Turkey. I don't know if that's how you say that.
Yeah, no, you're right. You got it.
And the conversation that came from that game of depth, the guys feeling like they really wanted that game. They kind of knew they were going to the next round. It's kind of like packed it in. You know, you saw a glimpse. I think they came out in the second half. They were real aggressive. They went up down the field, got the goal. But overall, it's you do have somewhat of a home field advantage, home community advantage.
Yep.
I love for them to have a great showing tomorrow night and win that thing. And then, you know, it's like sport competition. Anything can happen. Again, we talked about it. France is going to be tough to beat. You're going to have to play almost a perfect game to beat them.
For sure.
But competition is competition. And you just get the right kind of bounces in your favor. You play the right kind of game, right kind of matchup. You can surprise some folks.
I agree.
If they play like they did them first 2 games, it's going to be hard. They're going to be a tough out.
I think so too.
Tough out.
I think so too. There are still a lot of questions at the back for me, and their defending is of concern, to say the least.
Yeah.
That being said, Fuller and Balogun, their strikers, said this week, there's another level he can get to.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that level. Because the level he was at against Paraguay was next level.
Yeah.
Was flawless.
Yeah.
Getting him back in there, getting Christian Pulisic back healthy, Tyler Adams next to Weston McKennie. The drop-off from the U.S.'s starters to the backups in midfield and defense is just pretty significant.
Yeah. And we saw that the other day.
We really did. We're not a country that can cycle in different names and numbers and play to the same level and same style yet.
Yeah.
We might get there one day, but we're not there yet. However, our starters are playing at a level that I'm not sure we've ever seen before in definitely recent memory, but I think you could argue the history of U.S. soccer. That now comes with expectations and pressure.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that? We're going to find out tomorrow night.
Yeah, and they got to be careful. You know, with a situation like this, sometimes players have a tendency to try to do above and beyond other than their job, their role. They feel like, I got to go help. I got to go extend my field. I got to go help out on defense a lot more than I have in the past. You know what I mean? And I think they got to be very conscious of that. Because once you start getting yourself where you feel like you got to do extra, now you're out of position.
Right.
Now, you know, that's how mistakes happen and big plays happen.
That's what happened against Turkey. Right?
Exactly.
Guys doing too much and getting out of position and leaving space.
Yep.
So the fun thing about this sport is that in this tournament, and especially when you get in the knockout stages, the way this sport is constructed, anything can happen on any given day.
Yeah.
Because you can have a team that is content with just sitting back and playing defense and might have a third of the overall ability of the team they're playing and still win because they're just trying to play defense and get to penalty kicks. And then at that point, it's more than a coin flip. I thought the Fox crew did a good job explaining it yesterday. Like, it is a game of skill.
Yeah.
But it is more of a coin flip than just playing a game straight up, obviously. Like, if Bosnia tried to have possession and pass out from the back and take risks and attack and score a bunch of goals, the U.S. could beat them 5-0.
Yeah.
So Bosnia is going to sit back, have 10 guys behind the ball at all times, if not 11 guys behind the ball where the U.S. has it at all times and say, all right, good luck. Break us down.
Yeah.
Right? Like they're literally pinning your ears back like you would in a football game.
Yeah.
The difference is you can't just run the ball to take the space given to you in the meantime. The only way you obviously move the needle is by getting past it and putting the ball in the back of the net. So, going to be fun.
Going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it.
Very excited.
I'm excited for the U.S. That's why I asked Casey that question. This has an opportunity because there's a lot of buzz, a lot of hype. It's here in the U.S. for them to have a impact in the U.S.
Sure.
Similar to when the women did it in 99.
Totally.
So, hard to believe that was 99, man.
I know. I know.
Wow.
It really is crazy.
Iconic moment. Chastain, shirt off, pilly kicks.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. 615-737-1045, our number as we wrap up the show coming up next. There is a documentary coming up soon that has been in production since January in college sports that I am fascinated to watch. I'll tell you about why coming up next.
It's Ramon Foster for Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Man, we do not like dealing with those issues at all, especially when it comes to plumbing and you got people all over your house for the cookout. We know the 4th of July is coming up and nobody wants to be dealing with those type of issues. Or the HVAC when it's super hot outside, or just simply electrical emergencies too. And it doesn't have to be an emergency. If you want to be on the front end of getting those services taken care of, Hiller's the company to use, man. When you call Hiller, the experts, they solve your problems quickly, and the price you're told is the price that you will actually pay with no hidden fees or surprises on your bill at all. Hiller's been in business for over 35 years. They're family owned and operated, and you know they care about it when it's that way. Their techs are very professional, experienced, and trustworthy, and they're all background and drug screened as well. When they're on their way, you receive a photo of the tech and a link to track them in real time, so you're not sitting around wasting your time. Their motto is happy you'll be or the service is free. They believe in this. If you're not satisfied with the work, they'll just simply hand you your money back and try to fix it the best they can. To learn more about Hiller, to book with them like I do, simply head over to happyhiller.com.
Wrapping up the show this morning on Ramon and Will. Buck Rising Show up next. Kevin Dyson, Will Bowling. Good to have you with us the last 2 days, Dr. Dyson.
I appreciate it. You know, I love being up here, man. I appreciate
Yes, sir.
it. I had a good time.
It's flown by. It's been good.
Man, we got the heat of the tournament yesterday.
That's right.
We got the heat of the World Cup today. And, man, it's been fun, man. This for us football fans in a low information age.
Correct.
Since football's not here. It was fun, man. I had a good time.
So something to monitor. I love a good sports documentary series, all access kind of series. The problem is that we have so much content now by way of documentaries that we get a lot of ads. We get a lot of advertisements and not a lot of actual information. That being said, I think what Paramount Plus is doing following Texas Tech football might actually be good.
Okay.
So Ben Portnoy tweeted this out yesterday, a reporter for Sports Business Journal, saying Paramount Plus is doing a 4-part docuseries on Texas Tech football. It has been in production since January, which I find interesting. From the director and showrunner Micah Brown from Coach Prime, Untold, Sign Stealer about Connor Stallions, produced by Skydance Sports. And Josh Pate tweeted this out yesterday, said, witnessed this while I was in Lubbock last month. I'll say this, the access they've had during the Brendan Sorsby ordeal was pretty surprising and could lead to some fascinating content. So we may get an inside look on what it's been like at Texas Tech with the Brendan Sorsby debacle over the last couple of weeks.
I wonder how much the university is receiving for this.
It's a good question. It's a good question. They've already got all the money in the world with Cody Campbell's oil money they have, but clearly they've got a little bit more from Paramount Plus. Yeah.
Is this college football's version of Hard Knocks Life that we're going to start seeing different colleges do this now?
Yeah, I think a little bit, honestly. And it makes sense. I mean, any sort of additional revenue stream right now that the players are making more money and you have rev share and you have all of the out of control contracts that these guys are getting.
Yeah.
Teams are looking for any kind of edge. It's one that makes sense.
Makes sense. And it brings revenue to the school, like you said. So,
We're also not that far from Quarterback coming out on Netflix with Cam Ward.
Oh, that's going to be fun.
July 14th.
Yeah. Those have been good.
2 weeks away.
That and Starting Five have been good.
I think so, too.
And the PGA Tour one was good.
Yeah, full swing, solid.
Yeah.
I think Quarterback is probably, if not the best, one of the best of all of these docuseries that have started coming out. Because you just get so many of these where teams or leagues have all the editorial control that we're not really actually learning much.
Right.
That's one I really do find the off-field stuff really interesting about the studying and the raw emotion that we've seen from guys like Kirk Cousins and Marcus Mariota on that series.
Yeah.
And obviously with Cam, we'll be interested to see what it was like for him this past season.
Yeah, it's going to give a front seat look of what he went through his rookie year. That'd be interesting. I didn't realize they were filming that all year long.
See how much both of us photobombed the background. Of Cam being
Get in a little bit.
That's right.
A cameo.
That's right. Well, we're back at it tomorrow morning, our final show of the week. We're off Thursday and Friday, so Rhett Bryan will be with me tomorrow morning. Looking forward to that. Thank you, Dr. Dyson. Good to see you as always.
Yeah, you as well, man. Enjoy your little break, brother.
Yes, sir. Back at it tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. The Buck Rising Show is next on 104.5 The Zone.